Hey, hello everyone. Good evening or good night. Pretty unusual to stream at this time. So it's Friday night. Happy Friday. Hope you guys are okay. Yeah, I decided a little bit early to do the stream tonight. Yeah, pretty unusual as I usually do my streams on weekends on Saturday or on Sundays middle of the afternoon. The main reason behind that is a lot of people, Germany-based, France, UK. They often ask that I do my streams a little bit earlier because it's like maybe midnight in the UK. Yeah, one a.m. in France. So yeah, I just decided to do another stream, another phoning program tonight. Let's see where it goes. Let's see if we will have a lot of guests on the panel, and yeah, also chatting with me, in the comment section. So yeah, I don't know how was your week? Mine was pretty cool. Pretty cool. I had the pleasure to meet up personally with Dom. It was very very nice. Dom Seeking a Thread, a great channel. He spent a couple of days over here in Montreal. So yeah, I had the pleasure to meet up with him personally. We went to the Richt store, the biggest place we have here in Montreal. So it was the first time I had the pleasure to host a VC meetup in my city in Montreal. So very cool. Yeah, we went down to Au 33 Tours, the biggest store, the biggest record shop we have here on the island of Montreal, downtown. And yeah, we spent about 2 hours or so, and yeah, we were like digging records. He finds some amazing stuff. So I won't say what he found. Maybe he will be showing us on his channel. I found some great copies as well. Didn't find much as I wanted to, but Au 33 Tours is a great store. You always find something, late arrival bins. They have a great rarity sections, and you can also like order. Yeah, this is also something I wasn't aware of. If you order from their Discogs page, it's not like they keep like physically on the store everything that they have on Discogs. So yeah, it's sometimes if you want to, you like to pre-order, or if you knows about what do you want, you can you have to order like online to select pick up the store options, and then it's the safest way. So yeah, pretty interesting week. Yeah, I discovered a lot of different artists. I will talk about my record in a few moments, but as I said, it's a phone-in program, so feel free to join my panel. I'm putting the StreamYard link in the, you know how it works. Now we have like two people watching. So yeah, don't be afraid if you want to talk about your latest acquisition. So, or what do you are into right now. Phone-in program live stream. You can just hop on if you want. But yeah, pretty unusual. As I said, it's like Friday evening. Pretty much alone at home, so I have plenty of time. And it's pretty unusual. I usually do my streams in my office or the other room. So now it's like in front of my collection. We can talk about everything you want to. Hi, Marcia. Um, don't hesitate to hop on if you want to. Marcia P, great contributor to vinyl community. If you don't know about her channel, she does usually the Sunday vinyl confessions on Steve's All World Stage channel with Trevor. Always interesting. They don't do like every Sunday. I think every other Sunday, or yeah, I think twice a month or something. So pretty interesting. And I had the pleasure to meet up at MGK's party in Boston. So good to connect with her, Marsha P. So yeah, as I said, pretty. Oh, oh dear. Okay, you have COVID. Okay, so I wish you the best, nice speed recovery, as we said. Hope it's not too bad. And yeah, I know a lot of people, even here in Montreal or in Toronto, whom I speak to. Yeah, it's look like COVID still around. So we have to be careful. We have to be extremely. We have to be careful. Yeah, it's not like it's completely over. So yeah, wish you the best, Marsha P. Yeah, a speed recovery. I hope it's really not that bad for some people. It is bad when you get COVID. Yeah. So okay. So yeah, as I said, it's pretty much the first time I do my stream, and yeah, I wasn't sure because I know Alex Beer and Vinyl. He does a channel. He does a sometimes like with Emma a weekly live stream on Friday evening, and yeah, I wasn't sure, so I didn't want to compete with him. You know, like it's yeah, it's so it's not bad, but it's when you have like friends who streams at the same times, it's not really ideal. So yeah, I was asking if he had plans for tonight, and he said no. So I say okay, I will entertain. Yeah, yeah, we will see. As I said, it's a phone in program. I'm expecting to have people with me on the panel talking about music, concert. This is what a community for me is all about. This is yeah, it might be silly to say that, but we have like that StreamYard tool um, that connect us and enables those live stream with some panel of several people. So this is what I want to expect. I usually do my videos as everyone in the VC, classic videos where you talk about your latest finds, your latest acquisitions kind of stuff. But for me, when I push on the go live button on in StreamYard, the aim is really to connect with a community of people and to bring together some a lot of people from a lot of from different horizons, background, as I always say. So if you watch my channel, you maybe have noticed on the first streams I've done, we had a lot of different VC profile, I would say. Some from Germany, Nadine, very into soul and disco. Steve, the other Steve, so not the vinyl record mission, formerly vinyl chef Steve. He was very kind, accept my invitation as well, and we had like we had two Jacks, vinyl martini, vinyl voyage from Scotland, embryonic robot Steve from All Over the Stage, David Atkinson's. So a lot of different profile, a lot of different people, and the French as well, because French. Those who speak English, at least, as you probably all know, maybe you are new to the channel. I'm originally from France. I grew up very very close to the border with Germany. This is where I spend the biggest part of my life before deciding to move to Canada. And yeah, this is my collection I brought from France. Well, I found some stuff since I moved there, but the let's say the 80 or probably 75 or 80% of that collection is something I had still had a build up by the time where I was when I was back in the days when I was still living in France. So this is also the idea to have this channel to share with the people. My perception as a European guy who moved to North America, the culture, the traditional, the music I was into, I'm still into right now, and so I'm trying to connect and with a yeah, let's say new family and a new some new friends here in North America, and being still in touch with the French, with the German people. I used to talk about music a lot before the days before my YouTube days, so to say. We all have friends or people you can talk music with. And this I was really lucky or fortunate, so to say, when back in the days when I was working in Switzerland, for instance. I had a good friend And yeah, we were like talking about Pink Floyd as Frank Zappa like every day during the lunchtime, and it drove other people around the table sometimes a little bit crazy because we were so obsessed with music, with sound, with with this kind of stuff. And now it's really cool. As I said, it's I'm repeating myself, but we had this summer was a perfect when it comes to grasp the essence of what a vinyl community is. Not only people behind it, behind a camera talking about, hey, I have this record. It is really cool. I received my first VCLT ever, so and this means a lot, so much to me. And I met personally like several people. So hey, Big Star, don't hesitate to salut Fred. Don't hesitate to hop on. I made this a little bit later because last time it was like 6 a.m. for you. So yeah, I decided not to reschedule, but to shift a little bit later because I know we were like it's always like in the middle of the afternoon when I whenever when I usually stream. So now it's a little bit later. I'm expecting to have a little bit more people from from the East Coast, maybe from the West Coast. It's a little bit too early in Vancouver or San Francisco, LA, California, the Pacific time zone. So let's see. And yeah, as I said, vinyl community for me, after what I experienced this summer, it's simply amazing. You're meeting up with Brian in Toronto, and with Ben Rankings, who came all over from Australia. A guy I could have never imagined have met if we didn't have this crazy idea of talking about our records. And yeah, we met. We had so much good time together in Toronto. The MGK's party, of course, what a great event. With all these amazing people. Dom, Seeking a Thread, who just came to visit Montreal. And yeah, Steve from all over the stage. He is coming to Montreal in October. So yeah, it's this is truly what a community is all about. Oh, I did. Salut,
Hello.
nice,
I,
nice to
I,
meet.
I've come to not leave you alone.
Yeah, it's fine.
Lisa.
It's only 30 minutes, so it's not that bad. It's not like
Yeah.
the
No, no, no.
sharks, as you say. The sharks are not like after me.
Yeah. And plus, for me, as you said just before, it's 9:43 a.m. It's Saturday,
Mhm.
so I'm not. It's not really that hard to be here, and I'm not doing anything specific at the moment. I was just playing this. Where was it? We talked about it on the Discord at the last time. I was just
Yeah.
playing this this Stevie Wonder Marvel. We were talking about it on a stream, and I took out all my Stevie Wonder records out. This
Yeah.
is the album where he basically told Motown that he wanted to write his own music, and that he was going to write, compose all the music himself. Because Stevie Wonder, he wasn't like I've got this book about Motown, which is, and you can see him. He's like 12 years old. He was already signed on Motown, 12 or
Yeah.
14 years old. So for a long time he just played other people's songs, and then he said, no, I'm writing my own songs. And this album is actually very under the radar. I think I mean, no one talks about where I'm coming from, but it's just such a great album. Sorry, it's a bit of a flare. Yeah, it's from 1971. No, yeah, 70 or 71 or something. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, digressing. I
Yeah.
just want.
I was trying to
We're
find
also
it.
here. We're also here to show records, I guess. So I'm
Yeah,
just
sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I found that.
yeah.
Like as I said. Hi, Alex. Don't hesitate to hop on. Alex, good friend of mine. Yeah. As I said, Dom came to Montreal, and yeah, we
How
went.
was that? I was wondering because I saw the picture on YouTube, and I thought,
Yeah.
that's cool because I really like them, and
Yeah, Dom is. I don't have a lot of connection with him, to be fair. He's like a level, you know. I play for FC Beauvais, and he plays for Real Madrid. Uh, musically speaking, but yeah, I really
No
like
one,
him.
no one wants to play for Real Madrid. That,
Yeah, you
that's. No, I'm just
you
kidding.
got my yeah. He's a very lovely person. Say yeah, we agreed to meet in front of the store 10 a.m. When Au 33 opens its doors. So he came right on time. He um, he had pre-order some stuffs for him and for other people. I won't say like his friends. And yeah, we spent like 2 hours in the store, like digging
Yeah,
everywhere. Late arrival, and yeah, we met up with a store manager, Patrick, who knew about my channel, who knew about his channel, and was very friend. So he brought some stuff that were not on the store yet. Some you know Stunty talks about Lafony. Uh, Lafony, that's a band from Montreal, and they had original copies or of several of these albums. So he brought one
yeah,
of these copies, and yeah, it was pretty nice. Yeah, as I said, 2 hours we were like like doing the rummage on the store, and I found some interesting stuff. I will show you what I found.
yeah. Come on,
Yeah, I will show you.
show us some stuff.
This is a blues creation. I was introduced up to the, I
Make
was in,
yourself big.
I will, yeah, straight away. Carmen, yeah. So this is a Japanese psych
Ah,
rock.
it's Maki. I know. Well,
Maki.
if it's
Yeah,
yeah, I've
yeah,
never seen her called Carmen Maki. I've got some Maki albums.
yeah,
She's she's a Japanese blues singer.
yeah.
She's cool. Yeah, it's good pick
Half
up.
American. The reason this is the one I found back when I got back to France to see my family.
Yeah,
Les Échos du Rock à Guebwiller. Um, I never knew about that, so I bought this one and
yeah,
pick my curiosity. Kazuo Takeda, he later played with Felix Popularity of Mountain, and Carmen Maki. She played later with that how the I don't know, I don't remember the heavy 80s Carmen Appice. Yeah, the drummer. Yeah,
yeah,
so this is an album that was later released on CD. First of all, at the end of '90s, this is a live album. They were like doing several festivals, several gigs, and I really liked. So it piqued my curiosity, and I noticed that at the time they released two albums: one studio album without Carmen Mackie, and the other one, uh, which is this one, which is a pretty interesting if you like heavy blues, psych blues, and the original copy, forget about that, it's over 2 grand or sometimes. So this is a reissue, and I paid like 50 US dollars something. So yeah,
yeah. That's
Ja-
that's cool.
yeah,
I'm just in
yeah,
my Japanese section.
yeah.
Just looking for because I was wondering if it's the same. Sorry, I'm
No
on all
no
fours.
no worries, no worries.
In my Japanese section, I'm just seeing what Mackie albums I've got. Let's keep talking. Um,
Yes,
I might pull out some Japanese records to show maybe just
pretty
something
cool.
something different, something fun. Just
Yeah,
for a little bit of entertainment. I haven't. I'll just pull a pile of. But
and
where is the Mackie record that I have?
and it's really funny because on the original copy you can have a copy on discounts, but you have to pay the price. On the obi strip, the original obi strip, the price you always have the price in yen, the Japanese currency. Now it's like 4,200 yen, which is like $25. And if you see the when you on the original, it's like over, yeah, 1,000 something. So you can see how it has been corrected for inflation, from
Gosh.
$11 in 71 up to 2025. So yeah,
Yeah,
really really
I just pulled out some record.
yeah,
Just feel
pretty.
it's kind of whatever we do here. I hang on. I found difficult with. I've got a laptop on my lap. Um, yeah, I don't think it's the same Maki. I don't think. I was thinking of her, but it's Maki Akasawa. Is it the same person? I don't think
No,
so.
no, because
No,
Carmen Mackey, she was half American,
no.
half
Okay,
Japanese.
so
Yeah.
well, let me recommend you something that's really fucking cool. This is Maki Akasawa. She was a Japanese blues singer. Um, her music, it sort of oscillates between, you know, like straight blues and kind of psych blues, But she has the voice, and she's a smoker, so she's got the raspy voice,
Yeah.
and that she's released a lot of albums called Mackie One, Mackie Two, etc. And I didn't want to go into the rabbit hole, so I bought the Honest John's compilation that came out a few years ago, and it's got everything I need on it. I don't need any more Mackie than this. So yeah, no, you'd like this, Romu. You would really love this record, which I've just dropped, and hopefully not broken.
Hopefully not.
Crazy,
Yeah.
yeah. No, but I was just taking out some records from my Japanese section randomly, and some of them I haven't listened to for a while. This is a great record. This is a really fantastic psychedelic record. And if anyone's watching, anyone wants to jump in and butt in, this here, as you can see from the sleeve, it already looks. I'm just going to turn so that I'm not in the sun. This is Uganda by Count Buffalo, and what's the band called? Yeah, the band's called Count Buffalo, and there's always a something. Yeah, we'll call him Count Buffalo. He made lots of. It's a kind of hard psyche, kind of a little bit proggy record. I
Okay.
haven't for
Yeah.
ages, I must say, but it's an amazing piece of Japanese psych from the early '70s, I think. So yeah, that's the.
Did you find that this one easily where are you located in Australia, or did you have to order
I've
online?
I've had this for so many years. I couldn't even. Oh, I think somebody sent it to me. Sent it to me from. It could have been a VCLT, possibly. I
Okay.
think it was a VCLT, in fact, from America, but it was more like a trade thing than a VCLT. I sent this guy a record from here, and he sent me this in return. So it was kind of VCLT slash trade. Um, Boris, here's Boris, feedbacker. Boris are a sludge metal, doom metal band, and I don't have much Boris because their records tend to all sound more as the same. It's going to be blasphemous what I'm saying here, but that's Feedbacker, which to me is probably one of their best albums, if not their best album. So they do a sort of like really, really slowed down version of metal. So
Hmm.
it's what sludge is, doom metal. But I really like that kind of sound. It sort of harks back to the sort of like Sabbath kind of,
Yeah.
but really like more even doomier than Sabbath, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah.
That's from 2000. Well, this copy is from 2004, 2003, 2004. Yeah, that's right. That's probably about right. But look at that sleeve for a sleeve. this is There's this beautiful Japanese woman with
Yeah. You
in
wouldn't
a full blood. Yeah.
you wouldn't expect some sludge doomy metal.
Oh, I see. Shawn is
Sean,
here. Hey, Shawn.
hop on, Sean, hop
Yeah,
on.
you should
Don't
come.
hesitate. Yeah.
Here's some. As I said, I'm just pulling out some random shit from my Japanese section. This is the Toru Aizawa Quartet, Tachibana. That's one of the kind of like top-notch kind of post-bop Japanese jazz records. This is beautiful from start to finish. It's like a sort of like mid-period Miles Davis, bit funkier maybe, but this is a great record. It's on BB. Well, it was re-released on BB. So if you don't know, Romu, Barely Breaking Even is a British label, and they specialize in reissuing jazz records that are lost classics.
Okay.
So is a really, it's a top notch record, and very accessible, super super accessible. It's just a really lovely record. From what's that, 75, 75.
Hi,
So
Michael.
it's kind of like in between Electric Miles and like mid period Miles here. What did I
Hmm.
take out here? This is, they're very very random. This is a modern classic in my opinion. Such a beautiful record. Um, what was the name again? Ichiko Aoba. Ichiko Aoba. What is his name? And the album's called Windswept Agent.
Yeah.
That came only like probably like 3 4 years ago. This album. It's a kind of folky, ambient, dreamy. I mean, just like the cover. It's just such a serene, beautiful, moody, melancholic, folky dream of an album. That's this. I couldn't say any more than this. It's
How
just
were you? How were you introduced to
this
this?
one.
Yeah.
Just on various blogs and so on. Like I
Oh,
read a lot of like kind of online blogs, and you can. I mean, this one, I must say, I'm a bit shallow. I looked at the picture and I thought, oh, this looks cool. So I listened to it and I thought, oh, I've got to.
yeah.
Uh, I've got to. Here's a pair of cool jazz fusion records, which you don't really see on the VC very often. Um, Tero Nakamura, Rising Sun. That's a very funky record. That Rising Sun by Tero Nakamura. I'm just going to try to not be in the sun myself. Yeah, super funky, sort of Herbie Hancock, kind of Mizell Brothers, kind of like really high quality funky fusion. Um, with Steve Grossman on tenor sax. Actually, there's half of the band is actually American. You've got Lonnie Smith on Korg synth. Yeah, it's a really great lineup. Very very. I haven't played this forever, and I used to love this record. And the other one from the same guy, um, this Unicorn, with its like very iconic sleeve, Teru Nakamura. These are records I haven't played for ages, really. Beautiful records. Sorry, I'm talking too much. Romu, say something.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. I'm not really familiar with this jazz Japanese. I know they had this the iconic label, which is Three Blind Mices. Something is that something
Yeah,
from
Three Blind Mice. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's I've got one there somewhere. Three Blind Mice record.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Three Blind Mice, I will say as a label, is a bit hit and miss for me. Some of the records on Three Blind Mice are killer, and some of them are really like pedestrian jazz that you just wouldn't want to listen to. So you got to be careful what you pick on the label, because it's not just because it's on that label. Sometimes people think, oh, it's on the label, therefore it's good.
Mhm.
But I feel that you know with that, you've got to be careful what you pick. Here is just oh, here's another killer jazz record on, also reissued on BB. That is a monster. It's a monster record. Uh, the Kushugemine first. That's just like, yeah. Again, if you think of Herbie Hancock, sort of like late period Miles, funky Miles, this is a top notch record, and it's got Kushugemine, who plays the sax, but you also have on this record an absolute legend of Japanese jazz, Masabu Kikuchi. If I was going to give you five names of Japanese jazz, he would surely be one of them. Masabu Kikuchi is everywhere. Like he's he's basically the Herbie of the Japanese jazz scene. Basically, he's got that sort of like stature. Him, Sadao Watanabe, Terusama Hino as well. I would recommend, but I think Masambumi Kikuchi is very very influential as a player.
So
Uh,
Herbie Hancock, this period, would you say?
yeah, no, but
Yeah.
that's that's a bit earlier than what this sounds like, but
Okay.
yeah, that's a wonderful record, by the way,
Yeah.
Romu. That's an amazing record, Maiden Voyage. It's it's a classic. Everybody should have it. Um, it's I have a ton of Herbie in my collection. I don't think I would buy any more now. But yeah, and that looks like a decent pressing that you've got there.
Yeah, it
That
is.
looks.
Yeah, it is. I was very lucky prior moving to Canada.
Mm.
A guy I often talk to, he's in Normandy, and he bought a great collection from a guy in Switzerland. Very clean, very mean pressings, and he had some doubles. So he said, "Hey, do you want to have some great, good old blue notes?" I say, "Yeah, sure." And yeah,
Here's probably it's a big call. He's probably um, in my top three Japanese jazz. East Wind. That's Masabu Mikikuchi there, who plays the piano, who plays the keys. As I said, he's a bit like the Herbie Hancock of that Japanese scene. That record, East Wind, is fucking amazing. Oh my god, this is, and so the label is called the record's called East Wind, but the label is also East Wind, and East Wind is a really really great label. Like you could buy just about anything on East Wind, and it's the they didn't put out any shit really. They such a great label, and they've released American artists as well.
yeah,
And this one has got um, Masabu Mikikuchi on piano, and you got Terusama Hino on trumpet, and Koshuke Mine, the guy that I was talking about just a second ago. This guy here, he's on this record too. But this here is it's just everything is so crisp and amazing, and it's like two long songs, East Wind and Green Dance. They're like 20 minutes each, and it's just the highest grade of jazz, funky jazz, post bop that you can imagine on one record. This is absolutely killer. Yeah. I don't know if anyone in this chat knows this record. Maybe Riceville Records, probably, he lives in
yeah. I would
Japan.
just say him. Hi, Michael. He's located in
Yeah.
Japan.
Yeah.
He makes some.
But
Yeah,
I know nothing about Japanese jazz, by the way. I'm just talking
yeah.
shit at the moment.
Me
I,
neither.
I just,
Mike, if you want to hop on, don't hesitate. Bonjour, Julie. Someone from
this
Quebec.
is a record for you,
Hello.
Romu. This is a record for you. That's a Romu record. That is the band's called Love Live Life Plus One. That's the name of the band. Love Live Life Plus One, and the album is called Love Will Make a Better You. This is a monster psychedelic record from Japan. Came out in I think in 1971, and it's just a super duper jam, somewhere in between. Yeah, something that's really acid. It's a mix between acid rock and a little bit of jazz. Like a jam between the Grateful Dead and the Miles Davis band, but kind of like kind of off the hook. I think you'd like this. The
Yeah,
instruments. Um, you've got guitar, flutes, sax, piano, Hammond. That tells you everything you need to know. It's like um, it's just it's a dope record. Now this record is one of the records that's in the Julian Cope book. Do you know Julian Cope?
no,
Romu?
never heard.
Okay, so very simple. Julian Cope is the singer in The Teardrop Explodes, which is
Yeah,
an 80s,
new
early
wave,
80s
new wave.
psychedelic band from Liverpool.
Yeah,
And with The Teardrop Explodes, he released like classic records, Wilder, Kilimanjaro, blah, blah, blah. And then he went on a solo career. Actually, this week, on a side note, I picked up a copy of The Overkill, which I had never owned before, and is considered to be one of his best records, The Overkill. I posted this on the chat the other day.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's Julian
yeah,
Cope. So Julian Cope, just for a little bit of background, he's not only a musician, but he's also a keen historian. So he's written books about history of Britain, and like lots of he's very brainy, very
mm,
clever. But he's written two music books that are kind of like reference books, which I'm going to pull out of my thing, so because you I think you'd like to know about this. Um,
It's, it's
let me find. Okay, the first one that's known by everyone is this book here. It's called Krautrock Rock Sampler. As the name indicates, it's a book about krautrock, and for a long time, it was the reference book about krautrock because there was none other written. That came out in, I think in the 90s. Even this book, it was very hard to find for a while. This is the French version. It was easier to find in French than English. But so in there, hang on, let me just pick up the other one and I'll go and sit down and I'll tell you about it because I think this is very. And let me find the Japanese one, which should be here in front of me. But uh, there's literally so many books behind me, as you can see. That's
wow,
sometimes
yeah.
it's a bit dizzying to actually find things and remembering where I've put them because they're not organized in alphabetical order. They're organized in size because I don't like books in different sizes next to each other. That annoys me. So I just have to remember what size it used to be, which is stupid. But yeah, so Julian Cope wrote Krautrock Sampler, and he also wrote another book called Jap Rock Sampler, which I'm trying to find in on this shelf. Yeah, oh, here I found it. Okay, great. So I'll bring them with me, and I'll show you a little bit
Yeah.
because,
Do you know the?
um,
I'm sure you know the band, the Flower Traveling Band. That's the
yeah,
only.
yeah, I've got that
Yeah,
record too. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, um, so this book was a history. So when did he write it in the first place? It was written in 1996, and so what it gave people back in the day was a top 50 of his top 50 of krautrock. So that was very early. That was pre-internet days. You could work out, but
Wow.
his top 50 is not exactly what I would call my own top 50 of krautrock, but it's a good starting point. I mean, he's got Faust. He's got so this is how you could discover the Faust record, which I also have somewhere. This is for me a top five krautrock record, Fast Four, which I love. Um, and cluster, and then he talks about can, obviously, you know. So it will give you a little history on Amondul Zwei. Well, yeah, there you go. So Ashra Temple. So he wrote this book, and then a few years later, he wrote this book, which is the same idea,
Yeah, the cover. Yeah,
but yeah, and on the cover you've got it's the I think
the
it's the flower
iconic.
band.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it is the flower traveling band on the cover, and so it's a history of Jap rock, and in there is also uh, I think at the end uh, his top albums of and in the middle you've got these beautiful pages with so your flower traveling band here, which I
yeah.
have, Satori, which is a great record. That record that's an amazing record. Satori, and here reading this book back then, I think this is where I found. Well, this is where I first read about this here. Um, Love will make a better you, which I've just shown you. Which is, and this record I've just shown you is there too. Akira Ishikawa and the Can Buffaloes. Yeah. So some cool stuff. I mean, I'm just talking shit, but
No, no, it's
stop me when you want me to stop.
it's interesting. And in
So,
that krautrock book, I'm sure he mentions that krautrock is not like a general thing. You know, they had the Munich gang, Düsseldorf, Hamburg, which is a little bit separate, which is not the same kind of vibe, I would say.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
he talks about the evolution and how um I mean what you get from this is I think, I mean, I haven't read it for a long time. I mean, I don't remember when I last read this. This is an edition of 2008, so yeah, I haven't read this for a long time. I should reread it sometime. I mean, I've got so many books to read. I can't.
yeah,
I read novels these
yeah.
days
No, I
mostly.
can harmonia. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Yeah. So
Even Bowie later he admitted that those bands were a massive source of inspiration for him.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But what you get in the book, from my memory, is that Krautrock was largely based on a rejection of Western ideas, and they wanted to make music that didn't emulate the Western world music that was
Mm.
already made. They wanted to get as far as possible from making blues rock, that kind of like basic, music that was just being played everywhere else.
Yeah.
They wanted
And
to
you can
make.
still feel when you listen to that one. Sorry, it's mainstream, super mainstream. The hippie ideal, too much money, they need a million, some kind of stuff. Hey, we have another guest. Hi, Michael. Konnichiwa.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you going?
How are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I saw Fred, and I've seen different opportunities I've had to meet him, but always I was like in a car, or the time zone thing didn't work out. But I saw Fred, and I
You,
wanted to say hello.
you guys are on the same time zone, by the way.
We are. Fred's in New Zealand,
France, Australia. Fucking
Australia. Yeah, in the
France.
same in a similar
Yeah,
in a similar time zone, but we're all
yeah.
expats.
We are all expats
We
indeed. Oh,
all
well,
expats.
I don't call myself an expat. I'm an immigrant. I mean, I don't have any intention to go back to France, and
Yeah,
I have an Australian passport. So,
yeah,
for me, I live here. But
yeah. An ex.
expat
Yeah,
expat is slightly different for me. It's like, oh,
yeah.
you sort of like, maybe you'll return.
Yeah,
That's
expat is, yeah,
according.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
there are a lot of expats here in Montreal. So French people, they work for a French company. They are saying
Right.
like corporate, hey, we have a
Mm,
subsidiary, you will stay 2 years and then come back. Those are expats, and they usually stay together. They don't apply for citizenship or all that stuffs.
mm,
It's obviously something different than when you immigrate. You will try to, I'm in Canada. So yeah.
mm. Yeah. So, what time is it in Japan? Is it the same time as me? It's 10:12 in the morning here. Is it the same time over there?
Correct. Correct.
Oh, wow. We are on the same
Exactly.
time zone.
I think I put it up in the comments just a while ago what time it was in Japan.
Yeah,
Ah,
you
it's
said
not,
you
yeah,
say
no,
it's
yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's
I can see it now. Yeah, yeah,
9
Yeah.
a.m.
yeah. It's 10 o'clock now.
So
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yeah, no, it's good. It's a good time, Romu. Thank you. It's a good time to. Usually with the streams, it's like it's way too late for me, or it's you got to get up, and especially when you work 5 days a week, you can't. It's too hard. Even on Sunday night when we do the French live stream, because we do a French live stream with Romu every Sunday night, and with Stanty as well, and it's I've got to leave them after 2 hours because it's 11 o'clock at night, and in the morning I get up at 5 to go to work, so I can't stay that long. But this is perfect. This is good,
Good.
and I was showing Japanese records as it turns
I
out. So
saw. I saw. I saw.
yeah,
Yeah.
which I have a few, but nothing to write home about. But 2-3 cubes of quality Japanese record. But obviously you must have more than I have.
Ah, I see more
Yeah,
because
you
I go
see.
to a lot of stores. I mean, that's kind of my thing these days is showing off Japanese record stores and Japanese vinyl culture.
Yeah, yeah. You're in Tokyo now, yeah?
I am outside of Tokyo. I'm
Yeah,
around 80 minutes to Shinjuku by train. I live on a train
yeah.
line that brings me right to Shinjuku. But for I'm kind of in the suburbs. I'm in an area uh, it's really really quiet and kind of suburban, for lack of a better. I mean, we don't have big lawns in Japan, but actually,
I,
I live in a
I,
town. Go on.
I have a serious question about Japan and living in Japan,
Okay.
which intrigues me a little bit because I think, um, you know, like Japan is kind of this, for Westerners, it's kind of this mystical kind of a place but I'm under the impression, and correct me if I'm wrong, that um, if you're not Japanese, it's not easy to um, fit in, to belong, to be they're very insular as a society. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, okay, well, like all things, Fred, you got to learn, and
Mm.
I've been and I kind of have an edge because I've been married to a Japanese woman since 1991.
Yeah.
So I live, my wife is very much a part of my life, and you kind of just learn how to navigate. And where I'm going with this is yeah, I'm a foreigner, and in certain parts of Japan I'm ogled, means stared at more than
I know.
others.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Mm.
a good example is like when I'm shopping in a supermarket, I know how to move in and amongst Japanese people. And there's a very much big non-spoken language here. And if you learn, it's not so much the overly polite. See, that's the thing. Westerners take this polite thing to a ridiculous level, they work for a company and the company is doing business with a Japanese company, and all of a sudden all the emails are hello Suzuki-san, hello Mari-san, and it's all san. But Westerners don't take the time to learn how to interact with Japanese, and when you learn it, they're more comfortable with you, and once they're more comfortable with you, they don't treat you like an outsider.
Yeah.
Does that make
No,
sense?
I guess you've been there long enough to know, to have learned all the rights and customs of and how to behave and all that. Yeah, because you've been there for a long time. But I feel for
Actually,
what
I
I
haven't, Fred. Actually, I haven't lived in Japan a long time.
well, yeah,
So
but you've been
that's
married.
my point. I'm
Yeah,
married into the
you've been
culture,
married to a
right?
Japanese
I
person,
lived in
which
San Francisco. My last home was San
yeah,
Francisco for like
yeah,
25 years, and I
yeah,
brought my wife to San Francisco with
yeah.
me. So she was a foreigner in the United States, and that's another interesting aspect of the whole Japan Western thing, or how Japanese get along outside of Japan.
Mm,
Very, very key in this whole thing. I don't know if you've
mm.
met any Japanese people
Oh yeah.
living in Australia, but
Yeah.
they kind of live in an insular world,
Well,
right?
the ones that I know, okay. So I'm a school teacher, and
Mm-hmm.
I share my staff room. Or half of us are French teachers, and half of us are Japanese teachers. So there's like five women there who and two of them are Japanese. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're full blooded Japanese. They came from Japan. One of them is Japanese from parents. She grew up in Australia, but her parents are Japanese. And then there's another one who just is just someone like me who learned Japanese and teaches it. So it's not it's a mix of people. But the two Japanese ladies, I wouldn't say are living in an insular world. They're very much in relations with white Australia. Well, I'll say white Australians, well, not to be racist or anything, but and very much living a very mixed life, I would say. So that's my experience of them, I would say. But
Right.
yeah. Anyway, that's that's my take on it. I interact with Japanese people almost daily, but I sort of wanted your perspective because you live there, and
Yeah.
that's your obviously. But yeah, and have you got any intention to return to America, or are you happy in Japan?
Well, actually, I decided to retire. We decided to retire to Japan and live out the rest of our lives in Japan, because when we hit I'm 66, and when we hit around 60, we kind of looked at each other and said, do we really want to grow old in San Francisco, looking at the way seniors are embraced in San Francisco? And we both looked at each other and said, no, we want to live in a place where there's good health care and seniors are honored, and it's kind of like a graceful way to age. And that's something. San Francisco is very much a transient place. Everything is new. And to age in San Francisco well, you have to be very wealthy. And
Yeah,
we
sure.
decided that was not the path
To
one and
raise,
two.
to raise in America, you have to be wealthy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Hi, Sanglier Sublime. Yeah, it's not even possible with StreamYard
yeah.
because the thing is we don't
Is
use
that
the
me?
no
I,
no no no
I,
no he's a very smart guy, by the way, Sanglier
yeah.
Sublime, Eugene from
Mm.
France.
I don't personally think your accent is. I mean,
No, it's not about that. It's only about
in
yeah
saying that, I've been living here for 20 years myself, so it's not,
yeah
it's not, it's not disturbing me at all. But yeah, I guess if if you're watching, it might be a bit different.
Mm.
yeah.
Um,
It's very international here. I have a lot of French people who watch the stream.
yeah,
A guy from Germany, so it's not their first language. So
Yeah.
yeah,
mm.
yeah.
And actually,
But
I'm making a lot of my newest videos. I'm not speaking in any of my videos because, and my Japanese audience is growing as a result.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you d- and a question that intrigues me as well as a languages teacher is, have
Yes.
you learned Japanese?
Yes, I've learned Japanese, but I've learned it. I lived in Japan in the 88 to 93, and I worked for a Japanese company, and they sent me to language school, and I got pretty good. And then my wife and I moved to New York, and we met all these Japanese people, and I tried to speak Japanese with them, and they refused. They just wanted to speak
Mm,
English. So my studies kind of, I lost them. I lost my ability. And coming back to Japan, we moved back to Japan in 2018. And when I picked up the hobby of record collecting and going to Japanese stores and wanting something from them, it forced me to learn more. My Japanese improved based on need.
mm.
You follow? Because I had an
Yeah,
interest. So having a hobby in Japan, it really helps with reinvigorating my
I
language
think
abilities.
I think it's true for I, I, I feel for me, I in the past probably 10 years I said to relearn German entirely, and I did it through my love of music and records, and
Right.
listening to podcasts about music, about records, listening to, that's how I sort of got back into it, and the interest really makes it a lot easier to actually get back into. I mean, just to
Right.
rebound on what you were just saying before. I think it's true of for a lot of different exercises in language learning. It's just listen or read stuff that interests you rather than stuff that doesn't.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
yeah. But yeah, it's great to be on this live. It's turned out to be a live stream about culture in Japan versus
Yeah.
talking about we're talking about music, but we also can show you records. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah. I'll
we
show.
have,
I'll
Hi,
show a few
Marsha. Take
records.
care.
I
here's
mean, I don't have a very big collection.
here's a super duper modern Japanese record, which I think is absolutely amazing. It's sort of acid folk, psych folk record. It's modern thing. It's the band's called. The band is called. It's a very good question. I have
Yeah.
lost
If you
the
hold up the OB, let me see the OB strip.
yeah Maya. They call Maya Ongaku. Maya Ongaku, and
Ongaku
the
means music.
yeah Maya Ongaku. They called
So
yeah
Maya music. So is it
yeah.
is it a- does it is it like is it Mayan in influence? Is that Mayan influences?
No, well, not really. I mean, apart from the artwork, maybe, but it's more like a very lovely psychedelic folk record with
Yeah.
sort of like very sort of ambient, laid back kind of soundscape. It's to me, it's one of the best records of the past few years. I love this with a passion, and it's on this wonderful label, which I think has also released the Kikakoyo Moto. Records, and I don't know. I don't even know. I'm too stupid for this.
Ah. Well,
it's a
Fred, if you get it, if you can use Google Translate on
no,
a
no, no, no.
smartphone.
But they call Maya Angaku, and the album is called Approach to Anima. That's what the album
Okay.
is called, Approach to Anima, and Maya Angaku. But I just love the music on this. It's just sublime, sublime.
What's the center spread look like?
There's no, there's, it's
The center. Oh! I thought it was
yeah,
fold out.
yeah,
Okay, so that's like
yeah,
a computer generated graphic. Is that? It looks like it's like a ray traced or rendered
yeah,
image.
yeah. Sort of, yeah. No, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful. All I'm going to say is I highly recommend this. If you can find
Okay.
this somewhere, it's a beautiful record. It's very, very accessible. Oh,
Yep.
here's the hype sticker. Here's the hype sticker. There you go. Approach to Anima, Maya Ongaku.
Hailing from Jersey Seaside Town. This is my international debut. Best suit. Okay, Black Fun. I wonder which seaside town they're from.
Yeah. And
That's kind of
the
key.
label is called Guru Guru, which is the same label I think that releases the Kigakoyo. What's this band called? Kiga. I've got some of their records, but I can't even pronounce them. Anyway, digressing.
Yeah.
Go on. Yeah. And then the vinyl dreamscape, Shawn. Just say, as an American, I feel it's like there is much greater sense of community in Japan, Europe, Australia than somehow
Okay,
in the
we
US.
don't need to go there.
Mhm.
We don't need to go there.
Well, yeah, but look, yeah, I don't know if it's true in Australia. I don't know. I think it's very much like the US.
My feeling is we always think that the grass is greener elsewhere.
Yes.
I moved from France and we had trouble in my neighborhood, and I thought, America, North America, charity, Sunday, pastry things, village, and it's not true. It's not true.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
mm,
It's funny,
yeah,
I'll tell you one thing that just has to riff off what you just showed, Fred, with that record, is it is really amazing the kind of foreign pressings that I find in Japan, and as I'm going through bins. I mean, and oftentimes I'm like, I mean, I think one of the big revelations is I came across the Melvin Peebles soundtrack of "Sweet Badasses" song in a store in uh, Okayama, where I used to live. And for me, I mean, sometimes I'll pull things out of a bin and it's like a record I haven't seen in 50 years. I mean, probably like I'll go to myself, well, the last time I saw this record was in Greenwich Village in New York. And I'm finding it in Japan. And it always just floors me that people will buy it and own it and play it. I don't know how often they play it, but there's just such a hunger for ethnic things in Japan. And you'll come across the most American or the records here, and you're like, my goodness, like what compelled a Japanese national to buy this record and bring it back and play it? And did they get into it? Could they understand the words? I don't know, but they cast such a wide net, and that I always try to like let people know that there's so many different types of pressings in this country, and people don't really grasp it. They think that it's like all Japanese pressings, and it's not. It's British pressings, it's American pressings, and people got on planes and they bought this stuff because the hunger for vinyl didn't disappear. So they were buying stuff in the '60s through today, through different exchange rate challenges. It didn't really daunt them at all, right?
yeah.
And it's all here. And if I had the money, I'd buy a lot of it. But for me, I just decided make videos about it and show it because it's so interesting. I don't have
Mm.
to own it to find it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, especially because I imagine also your space might be limited as well.
Yes.
You can't bring a million things in your house, and I can picture Japanese houses being quite a bit smaller than your usual Western house.
Yes.
Because of the density of population to start with, but I think for me, I mean, I live in a reasonably big house, but I can see the logic in living in a smaller house, because what do we need in the end? Like, do we need a huge, like, to exist? But I mean, I'm happy where I am. I'm
Yeah.
obviously, I just it's a question. But yeah, no, it's great that you do you spotlight record store. I saw there's another dude as well. Was it Tokyo
Yeah,
Records?
Tokyo something. Yeah, yeah,
Who does kind of goes to stores and does something also similar like that. And it's good for if you've never been to Japan, you can see some shops and get an idea what the shops are like. I mean,
Right.
now on the internet, on YouTube, you could just learn anything you wanted. You could
Right.
learn anything, like
Anything.
any
Anything.
skill yeah, any skill. And with the vinyl community, we learn a lot about you know music that we didn't know existed. Or
Right.
it's such a learning tool, really, for a lot of people. It's like, oh wow, I never heard of this record.
Right.
What is it? So yeah, it continues. It's wonderful. I think I've always been very critical of social media myself, and I don't have any, like, I've never had Instagram or any of this stuff, and I
Right.
haven't had Facebook for 15 years. I had it for like 2 years when it first started, and then I deleted it because I just thought it was a giant waste of time. But like, as much as I criticize social media, I also see the silver lining of it being this kind of place where we can gather, and we've got a dude from Montreal, and a dude from Tokyo, and a dude from Melbourne, having a chat about music and culture and all sorts of interesting things through the means of social media. I mean,
Right.
YouTube wasn't designed as that to start with. I mean, when I first joined YouTube, I think it's people making video in isolation, and then people realize, oh fuck, it's communities. You can just talk to each other and start interacting, and you fan your people. And I mean, it's amazing the way it's evolved. And now live streams, you don't
Right.
even have to interact in comments. You could just like be on screen and talk to people and exchange things and get ideas. And it's really fucking cool.
yeah. It is. Yeah, yeah.
You know. So, but
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, and these connections that you never thought possible. What exactly would compel someone from Tokyo, someone from Montreal, someone from Melbourne, or whatever, Ustanti in Stockholm or whatever, to connect with each other like this, and in real time. It's just
Right.
amazing. Like, it blows my mind. It kind of blows my mind, because I think the greatest, if you wipe the internet entirely, if you said, okay, and you could keep one thing, I'd keep video call. Video calling. That's the thing that I would keep. All the things you can wipe out, the ability to see people face to face, talk to them in real time. That is in my opinion, the best thing that's happened with the advent of the internet. I reckon that is
Okay.
the best thing, without question. Like, I mean, you find information and everything, that's fine, but this is just so, like, when I moved to Australia, I used to call my mum over the phone, and we just talk. And now, I just click a button and I see her, and she sees me, and I take her around, and like, that alone is
Yeah,
priceless.
Skype. When Skype came along, it was a
I remember Skype
revolution.
being
Yeah,
being such a revolution. I was like,
yeah.
wow, you can talk to people and it's free. It's like,
And it's free. Yeah, you don't have to pay
yeah,
for a
yeah.
long distance call or something. Yeah, yeah.
Are you a user of social media, both of you? Do you delve much in other forms
I
of
am.
social
I
media?
am. I'm pretty much. I am. It. The balance has changed. I was heavily leaning on Facebook before I moved to Japan, and once I started on YouTube, that flipped. So 80% YouTube and 10% Instagram, 10% Facebook. I really don't even interact. I mean, Facebook I use to learn about people's art exhibitions, or job changes, marriages, things like that. It's almost like keeping up with high school and college friends. Facebook. And for me, YouTube has really taken over.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
as for me, I don't have any Facebook. I don't have any Twitter or X. Sorry, and yeah, I'm not against. I was heavily against social media because I saw the toxicity years
Right.
before. I read that book somebody wrote about Zuckerberg in 2010, and I saw it's bad. It's not the right way to do. We add like means of communication, but it's not like we enrich the communication. Um, so I changed my mind because I say we have a saying in French that say only les imbéciles, only the stupid people won't change their mind. So I changed my mind. I use LinkedIn for professional purposes,
Yeah.
and yeah, my wife, she's about to start a pastry shop project, so now she needs Facebook. You don't have you cannot you need to communicate
And
to
Instagram, I
be
think it would be good for her
yeah
too.
as well. So I say
Mm.
for that purpose, but it's staying behind the cam, hidden in the dark behind a pseudonym. This is bad. So this is not what I
Mm.
wanted. But YouTube, I
Right.
was always a huge consumer of YouTube videos because it's something that it's the information that you are looking for. You are reaching out to the information
Right.
and you react. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's it's yeah, it started when you think of YouTube, started out for just people making videos and stuff, and I mean, I never thought of it as like social media
me neither.
until I realized, oh, actually, all the people I talk to every day are people from YouTube. That's it. I had this kind of epiphany at one point. I was like, oh, all my friends that I talk to every day, they like because with Romu, for example, we have a group on WhatsApp which we talk on every day. We post pictures of records and links for videos, and
Yeah,
we just
Michael and myself, we also it's been a while since we haven't spoke to each other, but we also started to
there
you and
must
I
be so many
WhatsApp.
cross groups. I've got
Yeah,
about like 3 or 4 groups on WhatsApp of people that are on the VC quote
yeah.
unquote.
I
Right.
have
Um,
so many.
yeah, and like it's wonderful. Every day I receive messages like Romu posted a couple of things like yesterday, and I was actually at work on yard because we have to do yard duty at school. Like it's one of these like things that you have to invigilate the yard, at lunchtime because it's part of our job. And Romy was texting me about X, Y, and Z. We were just talking. It's like I'm just in the middle of working. It's kind of funny. Yeah, it's lovely to keep the. And even though we've never met, really, you feel like you kind of know people a little bit. Yeah,
Right.
it's
But yeah, we never met personally, but I had this experience in Toronto 2 month ago. Brian from Embryonic Robot, and Ben
Hmm.
Rankings, your fellow
I saw that.
countryman. Yeah, it's you meet the guy, and there is no, you don't have to break the ice because
Right.
you've been following his channel, you've been following mine, so you know what he likes, what he's into, and it's kind of surreal.
it's really weird when you meet
Yeah,
someone
it
in
is.
the
It is.
flesh. I
Yeah.
have met probably I don't want to quantify it, but maybe between 5 and 10 other YouTube, like maybe ten people that I used to watch on YouTube, who became friends, like real life friends and stuff. And it's really weird the first time because you see them and it's like hyper real, like wow, you don't look like, or you imagine it to be taller or smaller or whatever, like
Right.
you don't know what people look like really, in actual fact, and then you see them. It's cool. It's really great. It's and what's happened to me a few times, but I mean I've been doing YouTube for such a long time that over time it happens every now and then. But I have people in record stores that come to me, oh, Big Star 1000. Yeah, hello. It's just happened to me like probably a dozen times where dudes in record stores just come to me and just randomly talk to me, and it's always nice. It's always
Right.
and one of those dudes is a really good friend of mine. He lives like probably like 2 k's down the road here, and he watched me for years and years and years. He always watched my videos. He lived probably at the time probably like half an hour away from me in Melbourne, and then finally he just dropped me a message and stuff. We started talking, etc. And then I said, "Why don't you come to my place to listen to records?" And that, and he's moved around the corner because he likes the area here and stuff. And that is VC power. Like, it's just amazing, absolutely
You
amazing.
build a city of rock and roll,
No, I
starting
didn't.
with with one neighborhood.
No, no, but no, but my mate Amos is
Yeah.
you know he's a great guy. I really love having people in my life. And he's a good friend. He's not just a VC person. He's a good friend. He'd do anything for you. He's a really good friend, good person, and obsessed with Japan as well. It's just been to Japan actually last week, 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me he bumped into a super collector in a shop, because he was just looking for Japanese jazz, and the guy was so stunned that anyone would be interested. Anyone from the West would be interested in Japanese jazz, and so this guy took him under his wing and showed him his collection, 130,000 records.
Wow.
130,000. I'm like, it's just, my mind just explodes. I just think,
Did he describe the room or the house that the person lived in where he showed these
yeah, he
130,000?
showed some pictures, yeah, and just like, yeah,
Not the house, the warehouse.
yeah. I didn't show me some the dude showed him some pictures, and he said the speakers were like, half of the room was a speaker, like monster speaker that was like,
Right.
3 meters by 2 or something, like something like you had no idea how they fit that in the house, how they go through the front door in the first place. But yeah, amazing. Japan is a land of excess, I think, in that sense, like records
Yeah,
and
they go deep. They go deep. I
yeah,
mean, there's an expression called otaku, which means somebody who stays home and doesn't goes out and obsesses on certain things, and
oh, you mean the people like us?
they go very deep, and they're really really focused.
Yeah,
But what really kills me is how they have the resources to acquire all the stuff, because Japanese salaries are traditionally, they're low, and then they get biannual bonuses, but they're
yeah,
very frugal people. You don't walk into coffee shops in Japan and see people coding, and there's no entrepreneurial atmosphere here. They work for companies, and whereas like in San Francisco it's like completely different. And so they're very frugal, and so they spend a lot of time and energy um, buying responsibly and buying slowly. I guess that's the way I want to describe it.
that's the record that my friend brought me from Japan last week.
Toki,
Yeah, the
that's a
and it's
reissue. Yeah,
yeah, well, it's a reissue that he bought in Japan for me, which,
yeah.
I mean, the original is probably hard to get. It's the Toki. What's the name? The Hide Hidefumi Toki.
Hidefumi. The vowels are really really simple in Japan. It's really limited. Hidefumi. It's
Hmm.
very
Yeah,
analog. Yeah.
sounds like what it's written. Yeah, but yeah. So another addition to the Japanese jazz collection.
Very nice. Very
But
nice.
very cool record. Super super deep, sort of spiritual jazz. But whilst I'm here, I've got some other, like, I pulled out all these Japanese records. I thought, why not show it? Here is a favorite of mine, absolute favorite Japanese record of mine, like a 10 out of 10 recommendation. Mariah. Yeah, there you go. And the record is called. Hey, what's the name of the record?
Utakata
Utakata
no Hibi.
no Hibi. There we go. That's the name of the record. So this here is a very
Is that a
special record.
gatefold?
It's not a jazz record. It's like a
Mhm.
new wave record, but with a twist. It's very hard to explain. It's Armenian inspired music, but if it was played by the Talking Heads.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not even kidding you. It's based on Armenian scales, but it sounds like a Talking Heads record. Like, this is a mind. People who know this kind of music, people would like. It's a shame there's not more people in the chat, but people know this. It's not
How
a
did
rare
you
record.
discover it, Fred? How did you discover this
Uh,
record?
I think VC probably at some point. I'd say
VC, Western VC or Japanese VC?
No, my VC, the people who I talk to, maybe somebody like Chris Cole or someone like that probably talked about this record. But it's a wonderful record. Maria, whatever it's
What's the
pronounced.
inside look like? What's the inside look like?
There's no gatefold. It's
Oh,
not a gatefold.
okay. I thought it was a gatefold.
It's not a gatefold. No. Well, there's an insert which I could show you probably.
Yes,
but there is no. Oh yeah, there we go. It's the insert. Okay. So it is literally Armenian style music. How do I know this? I've got no expertise in Armenian music, but it's what I've read about the record, evidently, because I don't know Armenian music enough to just say, oh yeah, it's Armenian scales. But like those in the know who wrote about this record will explain that better than I do.
Is that a 2024 release?
No. That's a record that came out in 1980.
Interesting.
In the 80s or in 1980. This is a reissue, obviously, that came out.
That makes it more interesting. Actually, makes it more interesting.
This is 2015. I've had this for a while. Okay. But the original release was 1983.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Double 12-inch. That's a record that, if you like the Talking Heads, this would appeal to you straight away, because it's got this kind of like, polyrhythmic kind of new wave, zany new wave kind of sound. It's a shame no one in the comments reacts to this, because people know this record. I'm not the only one. Maria is very, very well known. Another one that I've got here at my feet, 2 records from the same artist. Now, these are amazing psychedelic records. I love those. I've had those in my collection for many years. But this is Benzaiten by Osamu Kitajima. This is a fully fledged, bona fide psychedelic record with with ethnic instruments. This dude here, and he plays on lots of different ethnic kind of. I'm saying ethnic, like I'm talking about like Japanese instruments. This is the American pressing on Antilles that came out at the time, 1976. But it's a freak out of epic proportions. That I love this record.
Wow.
I've got his other one, which is, I think, just as good, but maybe lesser known, Osamu. And this came out in what year? 77.
Yeah.
77 came out. Osamu, and he plays. What does he play? Acoustic guitar, electric guitar, koto, biwa, and then you've got all these other instruments: acoustic guitar, organ.
This was recorded in the United States. It was recorded in the United States.
There you go.
Recorded in LA.
And then there's Mini Ripperton on it as well. Yeah?
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And what year? Wait. Time. What year was it? Was it first recorded?
77.
Wow. Who knew? Who knew Japanese artists like this were in the United States recording with other Americans? Who knew?
And this one was recorded in Benzaiten was recorded at Hit Studio in Tokyo. Yeah, Tokyo. This one is
pretty obscure. Pretty obscure stuff.
And here I was talking about this band before. No, is it the same band? Yeah,
Kikagaku. Kikagaku Moyo.
Yeah.
House in the 12. That's the same publisher as you showed before.
Yeah. Okay. Guru. That's a lovely record too. Psychedelic rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'll
This one,
probably see. It's so funny because I'll probably go to a record store next week and I'll see a bunch of these records that you showed today for the first time. I'll come across them in bids.
what about
It
this
just
one?
goes to show.
This one's well known. You know this one?
I do not.
Ryo Kawasaki,
Nope.
Juice. That's a
Nope.
jazz fusion. It's also a mind blower record. This one, Juice by this is just basically a really psyched out jazz fusion record.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I mean you can see the sleeve.
It's
It's
wild.
it's mental. And then what have I got? Um, this here. Oh, I mean, I was talking about uh, my favorite jazz player from Japan, Masabumi Kikuchi. And this record is, it's a 10 out of 10 as well. The end of the beginning. This is the
Wow.
Masabumi Kikuchi Quintet.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a Miles or a Herbie kind of
Right.
very high grade Japanese jazz records. Amazing. They're not cheap though. These they don't come cheap, but at least here. And
Yeah.
this other Masabumi Kikuchi record, which this one is cheap and is very cool and has got the best sleeve ever. Susto with this lady on the steps.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great sleeve.
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, have you seen those, Michael, somewhere?
I have not. No,
It's
I have
funny because
not.
you'd think you'd see them everywhere in Japan, like the
Well,
Japanese
it just
records.
depends. It just
Yeah,
depends. I have
yeah,
a pretty good visual. I have a pretty good visual memory. So,
yeah.
I'm definitely taking note of these. And
Well,
um, if
the
um
live,
if I if I come across them in stores, I'll definitely include them in videos, and I'll tag you just to show you that I've
they
turned them
exist.
up.
They actually exist.
But
um,
I've been going to a lot of jazz. I've done a bunch of jazz record store videos
Yeah,
recently, and
you're
none
right.
of these I've seen. Disc Union is huge, and they don't really like people filming in there. So I go to more independent stores who are more amenable
yeah,
to somebody with a camera.
yeah. I mean, I know that they're a bit funny about filming in Japan. I've got that sort of.
Well, they don't
Uh,
want you to capture the faces of their customers. That's a real no-no. You don't do that. And so I typically go in there and I film on an off day. Um, but people really, privacy is like paramount here. And
yeah,
so a lot of times I've gone into stores and I've said, can I film? And they'll go, yeah, but none of the license plates on the parked cars outside, and no faces of customers, because customers will come up and they'll complain. They'll be like, what are you doing here? Why are you letting somebody film? I came here to shop, not be in a movie.
this one,
Let's No, let me see. Boo. Yeah, wait, I have
bamboo,
seen that. Wait, I have seen
bamboo,
that one.
bamboo. A bamboo is there. You go.
Yeah, I have seen that.
So bamboo is what's his name again? His name is I've lost his name. Anyway, I'll get back to it. Yeah, Minoru Mura Minoru.
Muraoka.
That's right.
Muraoka.
Yeah. So this guy, he's made a record with shakuhachi, flute, koto, and all these traditional instruments,
Yeah.
where he plays classics. Of the some of them are classics of the American songbook, Scarborough Fair by Simon
Yeah,
and
I've seen
Garfunkel.
it. Yeah, a
Uh,
little
but,
hokey.
but but this is known for his rendition of Take Five by the Dave Brubeck
Yeah.
quintet, and it's fucking amazing. Like
Wow.
his Take Five on shakuhachi, and it's super funky and it's just on point. I love this record. I
Yeah.
haven't played forever, but it's a beautiful record. And another one that I've got here, which is super under the radar more than anything else, maybe, is this record by the
Toshinori Kondo.
Toshinori Kondo, Bloody
Mm,
Earth. It's a great jazz fusion record.
mm.
Sorry about the glare. I probably should move somewhere else, but it's My house is either
No, it's
too dark or
actually the
too bright.
glare has not been an issue at all. Everything is the lighting on it is pretty flat.
So this is from what year was this? 2021.
Hmm.
But I think it's a reissue. It says Bloody Earth series recording was started in 1993. So that's a series of recording, but I don't know if this one is from 1993. But the looks of it, it came out in 2021. That was not a cheap record to buy by any means when I got
Yeah.
this. But it was. It's a great. He has his very very Miles sound, a very mournful kind of. Yeah, but more ambient, I would say, than a Miles record. But
What do you
very.
reckon? What do you reckon Japanese artists are in terms of a percentage in your record collection? 10%,
Yeah,
20%.
interesting question. Yeah,
Well, okay. So we can quantify it very easily. I've got let me see 50 2 3 4 hang on 4 54 plus 16 is what
54 plus 6, 110.
70. 54 plus 16 is 70, right? 70. Yeah.
Say it again. Say it
Uh,
again.
54 plus 16 is 70. So 70.
yeah.
So I've got 70 cubes, individual cubes of music.
Okay.
And 3 of those are Japanese music. So that gives you a percentage.
So that's a tiny percentage.
Yeah, it
So
is. Yeah, it
Tiny
is.
percentage. I mean, he
Five.
basically. I mean, these
Five.
records that you showed were probably what the line like the best of the best.
no, no, I just took a section of it. I just took like probably like 20 of them in my
Yeah,
hands,
so
like
it's
what I could
five.
carry, whatever I could carry. I didn't take that many of them, but I
It's
oh, I
roughly
took this one
four
too.
5%. Yeah. Oh,
This one is a soundtrack thing, also very funky, very sort of library music style. Uh,
Yeah.
the Adventures of Kindaichi Kosuke. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So that's a Western. That's a Western reissue of Japanese music targeted at Western audiences. I would think that's
yes,
interesting.
yeah.
Interesting because I wouldn't. Maybe I would see that Obi strip in. I'm just curious about the use of language, Fred. That's all. I mean, they lead with English, right? And so you wouldn't see that. I don't think I would see that in Japan. I need to pay attention to that.
Shawn, why don't you come up? Shawn, what are you doing, Shawn?
yeah. I will.
So I can thank you. I can thank you in
Google
person for sending me some wonderful records as VCLT.
Mm.
Yeah, Shawn, who's in the chat there, the Vinyl Dreamscape. He lives in Detroit,
Detroit. Yeah.
in Motown, and he sent me a well, 4 or 5 people banded together and sent me
I
this
saw that.
huge package of like 20 records or so. And Shawn sent me some amazing stuff that was just completely unknown to me. Some house, some psychedelic music with African tinge. This is really cool stuff. Really, really amazing stuff. Very generous. I mean, this is the thing. VCLT is one of the trademarks that we send each other records. You know
Hmm.
why? Why? Because we can.
Right.
No, for no other reason. Like,
Right.
why do we send each other records? Because we can. You know,
Right.
there's no rhyme or reason. You know, you think to yourself, oh, I've just spent like whatever $70 in postage. Uh, do I care? No, I don't.
Frankly, you pay a little more postage when you send twice to Canada.
So with Romuald, I sent him a package with about 7 or 8 records or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I posted it once as a surprise. So what happened was Romuald sent me a screenshot on WhatsApp of the house where the place where he lives, and he said, "Oh, I live here." Okay, not with the intention of getting VCLT, just to show me where he lives in Montreal. And I thought, oh, okay, well, I've got his address now. I'm going to send him a package. He doesn't know about it, so it'll be a nice surprise for him. And when I went to the post office, they said to me, "Oh, which unit is it?" I said, "I haven't got a fucking clue which unit it is." And they're like, it'll get there. It'll get there, because it's that address. Surely it'll get there. Well, it got returned to me. I even put his phone number on the fucking package, that they could have contacted him and said, "Oh, here we've got a package for you." No. So it got returned to me. So I put a couple more records in there, and I sent it again to the right address. It was just stupid. Yeah. So that was the story of Romus VCLT, sent to Canada twice.
Yeah, it was a nice surprise. And one of these record containing the package, maybe you know about, Michael.
Oh, the Bo Brummels. Yeah. Oh, I haven't seen that in
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. Never heard of that band before. Never.
Really? I mean, I'm
No,
surprised
no,
because
no.
they were as known as for a time. They were as well known as the Beatles in America. At least they were well known. Like, they were not an underground band by
Yeah.
any. And they played their first album is like a Beatles record, really.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, tell me. Sorry.
Somebody mentioned Vinyl Voyage. Hey, you have to listen to Triangle in 1966, the previous one. And yeah, you're right. I just gave a fair hearing to that one earlier today, and it sounds a little bit like Birds, Beatles, with the hits.
Bradley's Barn sounds a bit more like the band, or something more country, rootsy kind of. Yeah. I had this record for a while, and I never played it anyway. So I'm glad you like it. And when you made your video about the VCLT, that was the record that everybody commented on, because that's the record everybody knows. I mean, it's not obscure or anything. It's like Brothers Band, but nobody else commented on any other record
On Atoll or Maja or
it's like, Rictus, or I saw that Philosphere commented on the Jean-Claude Vincent record.
Yeah.
Michael,
show us some records. I've been showing records all day.
I had a feeling you'd. Let me just give you an example of some. I was in a shop that's 2 stations away from my home.
So if you are at least asking the questions to me, Cinglé Sublime, yes, they are definitely. Yeah, it is like 1967. 2 guys from San Francisco. They went down to Nashville to record that album. So you got it, 1967. You have the psychedelic with the country. So definitely, but it's not like 2 country. It's not like I don't know. It's not an Hank Williams record.
No, it's got a country rock feel. Yeah, that's
yeah.
So I was in a store around, that's 2 stations from my home. It's this place called Meruido, and it's you have to walk up. You have to take off your shoes to enter this record store. Right? It's in a home, so you have to walk up 2 flights of stairs. I made a video of it, and the owner is a music publisher. He takes old Japanese acts. Like singers that have not been recording in years, and he brings them into a studio, and he kind of has them do covers of old songs, and like this, like "Video Killed the Radio Star" by this Japanese singer. That's right?
Cool. Yeah.
And it's a 45. Or he has this guy.
There's a very creepy blonde head behind your shoulder, Michael. What is this?
That is a painting. That's a painting.
Oh, yeah. Every time you move, there's this like creepy kind of like.
Yeah, it's a painting of a figure that looks like Courtney Love smoking a cigarette, and it's a very large painting. It's by an artist in LA, and and that's another part of my life, art collecting.
So,
Anyway,
show us some more records.
some
Yeah.
I will, Fred. Okay, so the guy in Meruito, I found this in the bin, okay, and Sweet Linda Devine, and I love powerhouse female singers, and I was going to pass this record over, but I saw it was produced by Al Cooper,
Yeah.
and Al Cooper's a pen pal of mine, and I wrote to him, and he goes, "I cannot believe you found that record. It's super rare." And it was the only record that she produced, and she does a cover of "Good Day Sunshine" by the Beatles. That's just unbelievable. I mean, has a soul singer. She's a San Francisco artist, and has a the great track is "I'll Say It Again." I actually used that in a short. Uh, Promoting an upcoming video of mine, and I love my dog. And here's the days before they had Photoshop. Here's Linda in the baby carriages with her band
Yeah.
members, and
But you
she's
know what?
gay.
You know what, Michael?
What?
This
What?
is very highly. You talk about Al Cooper, and this to me is very highly reminiscent of my favorite Al Cooper record,
Which one?
which I'll. This is I unashamedly love this record. This is a
Oh, I
record that
love that record. I played it the other
very
day.
dear to my heart. Record.
I played it
This
the
is
other
a
day.
record.
It's
Is
a masterpiece. It's a
It's a
masterpiece.
10 out of 10. It's a beautiful record. That's a Japanese copy of it. But you know what? These little uh, mini me of
They're
that
creepy,
reminds
right?
me, that reminds me of the cover that you just showed. And
Yeah. Well,
there's
I'm sure he had an
there's
influence.
Al Cooper there. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
I'm sure he had an
Romy,
influence because it was around the
We
same
yes.
time.
have you heard this record? Have you heard this?
Yeah, many years before. Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Yeah.
Oh, I love this record.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
a baroque pop perfection. Okay,
Yeah.
carry on, Michael.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted
That's a great way to and there's a track on that record called
Hi Nick, very nice to
he's got a track on this record called "Something Going On," and and the lyrics are, "I went down to the mailbox this morning to check the mail, and the phone bill was in there, and had a lot of calls from somebody in L.A. So I know something's going on." So in the lyrics of the song, he busted his girlfriend for cheating on him. Great, guy's brilliant. So the other record that the Japanese record store had was this Tony Williams Lifetime record, which I have not seen in years. It's called Ego. See that?
Yeah.
Ego. And one thing that you're going to run across in Japan is there are a lot of records that are white label promos. Could you make me bigger so I
yeah,
could share the details?
sure.
Or
It can
white
be.
label promo. This is really typical here, right? And this doesn't have the OB. This was a blind buy, and I'll tell you, I wish I'd gotten a different Tony Williams record because he sings on it, and it's not very good. So it's going into my little Yahoo sale.
He had this period with Lifetime where
Yeah.
he was the band leader, and it was like very high octane fusion, very kind of in the sort of Mahavishnu kind of mold, but kind of a bit jazzier than that. And
Yeah.
this record cover is a drawing is an illustration of one of his other records, which there's a record with that picture, but as a photo on the sleeve where he's holding his sticks like this. Maybe it's just another press of the same record. I think it is, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
dry. Like the printing is really, really dry.
Mm.
And I haven't seen this probably since I was a teenager. Because I had friends who were musicians when I was in junior high school that introduced me to a lot of jazz music, and Tony Williams' Lifetime was one of them. And there I am at 66 picking it up on a blind buy. But I think I want to pick.
I was going to say, I think I have a theory. I've got a personal theory that no records with Tony Williams on the drums, especially the Blue Note ones, they're all good. He hasn't made a bad. Like every time you see Tony Williams on drums on any Blue Note you could buy that, and that's going to be a good record because he's basically, I mean, bar none, the best drummer on that label. I mean, it's a big call because it's Art Blakey as well, and all sorts of other people. But Tony Williams is just totally amazing. Shawn,
Hi, Shawn.
yes, buddy.
Nice to see you.
It's late for you, isn't it?
Hey,
Can you hear us?
I hear too many voices. What am I doing wrong?
Maybe your YouTube tab is still on. You
Yeah,
have to close.
YouTube tab. Yeah.
Oh, no,
Tab.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Hi, gentlemen. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, very good.
Good. Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you guys.
I'm glad we motivated you enough to come along, to come on board. That's cool. Thank you again for the wonderful record, Shawn, in person.
Always pleasure. Yeah,
it's really great to and I had none of them, and I knew none of them, so it was even.
I kind of had a feeling that Dr. Pete Larson, that you'd like that.
Oh, I love it. It's this kind of psych meets African music, but in a really like off kilter kind of a way. It's just there in my pile. I've listened. It's probably the one that I've listened to the most of what you've said to me. Yeah,
I knew that one would be Pete Larson is a guy. He's been around the like Michigan, Ann Arbor area for like 15, 20 years, kind of flying under the radar. Nobody knew who he was, and then little by little, he's doing these little bitty, like 100 records at a time, pressings, and little by little, his name has kind of like gotten out there, and his stuff is really unique, kind of a electronic mixed with tribal and psychedelic, and really cool, really unique. Makes his own instruments, so I knew Fred would be into that. That was the one surefire one that.
I'm trying to find the that is on my feed somewhere, but there's so many freaking records on my feed at the moment. Like, where is this record?
We're all surrounded by records. Sir.
Yeah, it's so I can show it. Keep talking. I'll
Michael, you mentioned that sweet that blaxploitation soundtrack.
Sweetback Badasses song, Melvin Van Peebles. It was a movie. It was from the 60s, and the cover's just wild.
Yep,
and
that's a great.
Picking that out of a bin in a Japanese record in a record store in Japan. You're just going, how did this get here? I mean, you just want to do a forensic test on the traveling of this record, how it made it to this small town in Japan, right? For
how many hands
today.
they have to go through? Yeah. I'm a big lover of like I love blaxploitation soundtracks.
Yeah, that's a great movie. Yes, I saw this in a record store in Japan last week. I mean, what's it doing here? But it's a good movie.
It's a fun movie, and some of the movies aren't always great, but the soundtracks are, and the movies are always fun. I mean, this is my most recent one. I just got this the other day.
I love Southern Africa.
That was not a big movie, though.
No,
I think that's out of the box office.
Now this is one where the movie's pretty weak.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But the soundtrack's pretty cool.
Oh, and, the horns on that record are amazing, don't you think?
Yep.
They're just off the hook. Yeah.
That's my favorite one, probably there.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love Willie Hutch.
Say,
there it is.
There you go. That's what I saw. And of course, Fred, you would have it.
Well,
and that's a good movie.
I don't know how often I've played, but whilst I'm here, this is the record that Shawn sent me.
Oh yeah.
The Dr. Pete Larson and his cytotoxic Nyali band. the African Africa meets psychedelia, and I love the pasted cover. It's so fucking cool. It's glued on.
It's all handmade.
What's the label name? What's the publisher's name? Dagaretti.
Dagaretti. Yeah.
Anyway, you can make me small again.
Okay.
They do a lot of good stuff. I mean, almost everything on that label. It isn't all great, but it's all interesting.
I mean, here's an example that always surprises me. I mean, I found this for 500 yen at that same small record store in the home.
Yeah, very cool.
but not, just an obscure, forgotten soul artist in Japan, for sale in Japan.
So 500 yen is like $5 or something.
$3.
Okay.
Yeah, $3 US.
Mm.
Or like I'll walk into a record store and evidently somebody has died, because there was just this concentration of like Delaney and Bonnie records and Dr. John records and J.J. Cale records. I mean, it was like somebody had acquired just pieces of a collection, and that this person, every single one that they had, collected, like, and then the next day they were gone, or most of them were gone, snapped up.
Can I share something fun? Okay.
No,
Sure.
no, you can't. You can't.
Okay. So this week was my birthday, and
Oh.
no, it wasn't a big birthday or anything, but my partner, she bought me this really cool present, which I've got here on my feet, and it's a music related thing. Have you heard of a guy called James Cook? He's a typewriter artist. He's a guy who paints picture, who draws pictures with a typewriter. So he, like it's a really wild concept, because he just makes pictures, but with keys on the typewriter.
I knew an artist in San Francisco. I know what you're.
And she bought me this prints of Animals by Pink Floyd. It's entirely made on the typewriter.
Wow.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's obsessive.
Make you big.
Yeah, it's just a print. Just
Very
I thought
cool.
it's a music related thing, but you look at the detail.
Yeah.
This is all done with keys on the typewriter. I mean, how do you even begin? Look at the detail, the people there.
Wow.
The Battersea Power Station. So this has meaning to me as well, because when I lived in London, I lived across the road from the Battersea Power Station. So it's a place that I know well. But I also love Animals. It's probably my favorite Pink Floyd album. So that makes it. Don't tell Stunty that, because he will disown me. But I do love Animals. Now I just wanted to share that, because it's a very, very cool, lovely thing.
Animals was actually my favorite. A buddy of mine bought it. I think we were 12 or 13 years old. And I think a friend of mine bought it for my birthday when we were that age. We used to exchange records all the time. That was probably my first Pink Floyd record too.
Yeah, it's to me, it's to this day is the one that I'll probably go back to the most. So, but yeah, no, it's I thought that was just a lovely thing to have, and and it's so
Beautiful
like
gift.
I'm blown away by the detail of it. It's just
I wonder how he worked the paper into a typewriter to do that picture. I mean, I don't know how he executed that.
If you look James Cook on Instagram, I mean, I don't have it. My girlfriend discovered him because she's on Insta, and she does. But if you look at his stuff, it shows you there's videos of him typing the picture. It's just like. And this one here is you can see being made, or he's on TikTok or on Instagram. I don't know where he's on, but James Cook, very easy to remember. Okay. This is an edition print. It's not an original piece of artwork from him, but it's an edition print with the letter of authenticity and everything else. I love it. It's great. For music thing.
It adds a lot of meaning too when you get it from somebody like your girlfriend or something like that. That just adds a whole nother. I have a Bob Dylan poster that a friend of mine and me, we went to go see Dylan at a place in Detroit called St. Andrews Hall. It's just a small place, and to be able to see Dylan in this small place. And while we were there, he took the poster off the wall, and I never saw it again. And then about 10 years ago, he had it matted, and he took his ticket. He still had his ticket from it, and he put it into the frame, and then he gave it to me.
Wow,
and, that's nice. I have it. It's hanging in my apartment right here. It's just special when people do something like that. Especially when it's related to music.
Yeah, but it's On a completely different topic, I have a
Yes.
bunch of 7 inches in front of me. Why don't we just show?
That's really cool.
Do you know the Die Pretty?
Yeah.
No.
No.
They're an Australian 80s band.
Slightly gothic,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'd say
post punk.
yeah, post punk. Yeah,
Like
it's a
the
post-punk.
Laughing Clowns, something.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
I think one of their first singles, if not their first single. But I was playing this week. I was trying to do a video with Australian punk and post punk for the French channel that I run.
Yeah.
With this look at that sleeve to start with.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. Winterland from 1980, I think 7 or 6 or 7.
Where Citadel Records? Hold up. Wait. The bottom line is where they produced. No, the other side.
Citadel is here. Look, that's the label.
Nice.
So they're from Die Pretty. Were from Perth in Western Australia,
Mm-hmm.
and they were led by this great vocalist called Ron Pino, who has got this very distinctive kind of can go high pitched voice. It's very, but yeah, gothic. Yeah, I think gothic is a right. And here is a like a top notch single by Kim Salmon is in a band called The Scientists, which is like one of the top punk band to come from Australia. I think they were from Sydney originally, The Scientists. But this is like a twisted kind of Tom Waits, Captain Beefheart, but with a new wave kind of twist record. It's I've got that in front of me. I've got this record in front of me, which I pulled out the other night. They were a 2-piece from Melbourne, the Super Wild Horses, garage rock from the early 2000s, 2008. There you go.
What were the pieces? What were the pieces, Fred?
Guitar and drums. Yeah.
Okay.
White Stripes like, but not the same kind of music. Here is a New Zealand band, which is a hardcore, punky hardcore New Zealand band, Die. That's a name like that. You can imagine that they're just a few things that I've got in front of me on 7-inch. Some other Aussie is an indie pop kind of post punky. The Serious Young Insects.
I've heard of that.
Very serious. From 1981. There you go. The Exploding White Mice. And it's just like we have a band names here. That's a punk band from
cool sleeve though. Very cool.
Yeah, from Adelaide, South Australia. So
many great garage rock bands came from Australia.
Yeah, and this one, a personal favorite of mine, with boasting probably the best sleeve ever, the Screaming Tribesmen.
Yeah,
with standalone. That's a great track, and on top of that, it's got the best sleeve. The sleeve is just amazing. It's one of these kind of singles that just made it through the period of that sort of early 80s, very iconic, but very beautiful. No, just I'm just gonna just pull out some singles there in front of me. I'll just show you them. They're there. And whilst I'm here, I've got one that Shawn will recognize.
Oh yeah, great one.
Shawn sent me this too. Yeah. Shawn, talk about it for us.
It's kind of a neat little story behind the track and everything. This obscure, this guy had this piece of music, and the story goes that they wanted to lay a vocal track on top of it. And from the way I understand the story is that they literally like just grabbed somebody off the street and said, "Hey, why don't you do the vocal?" And they laid down this really unorthodox, over the top vocal that somehow just works. And then they pressed the single, and it didn't go anywhere, and nobody really knew anything about it. And then years went by, And there's a record store in Detroit area called People's Records. And I understand the story is that they got a copy of the original and they thought, hey, we should try to reissue this. You know, it's obscure soul single, you know, let's try to do it. And the way they ended up finding the guy who did the vocal on it actually came walking into the store one day and they started talking about it. They were like, you're that guy? And they were able to track down the copyright from that, and they were able to reissue it because of all. I think that's the story.
That's cool. That's a great story. Yeah.
They reissued it using one copy of the record. They didn't have the master tape.
Yeah, I don't think they did. I think they had to take it from right from the vinyl. If I understand.
Is that common? Is that common these days? I guess that it is because they're forced. If it's something that's obscure and very rare, that's all they have, right?
I know it's a really, really obscure. There's people have never really. People's is in kind of a good location because they're literally right downtown on the water, and so older people will come in to sell their record collections, and they'll come by these really obscure. It's a great store because you can go in there and you can still find funkadelic records, and you can still find obscure soul and R&B and jazz.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit. People's is in Detroit.
Yeah, it's right downtown, right on the river.
Got it.
Yeah, it's a must go if you're coming to the Detroit area. People's is probably People's and like Street Corner Music, which is in the suburbs more. Those are the great stores.
And the Grand Ballroom was torn down, right? It doesn't exist anymore.
The Grandy is still there, but so it's the structure of it is still there, and it was ready. I mean, when I went to college at Wayne State, and I used to drive right by. Me and my buddy, when we went to school, so this would have been in like the early '90s. We were such like MC5 and Stooges fans that we found the Grandy Ballroom, and at that time there was no identification on the outside of the building. It was just an old. The roof of the building had all concaved in. And snow was coming into the building, and we went around to the back of it, and we pushed on the back door, and we got in.
You forgot about the third.
Yeah.
But
today there's a preservation society, and they're trying to save the building.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say is the Grand Ballroom, if I've got that right in my head, is also that room in which Derek May and Kevin Saunders, I think it was either Kevin Saunderson or Derek May made a video in there, like there's an early techno, and they're in a ballroom. They're in a completely dilapidated ballroom.
Could be.
I can't remember if it's Derek May or Juan Atkins. It may be a Juan Atkins for some reason.
Atkins.
I mean, these are. I mean, people talk about the Stooges, but for me. I mean, Detroit royalty is those three guys, Juan Atkins,
the Belleville Three,
Derek May, and Kevin Saunderson, who basically created techno. They're the inventors, if you will, of techno. But I think if you listen to the first techno albums, they sound like synth pop, like. The first Cybertron record sounds like the Human League.
It does, Cosmic Car. Car sounds like a new wave song, really.
Yeah, exactly. It's very cool.
A friend of mine is a teacher. He teaches out in South Lyon, which is a far out suburb. It's more rural area. And he had one of his students in class. He was going around. They were giving roll call, and he noticed that his last name was May. And he was kind of like, saw the kid, and then they had parent-teacher conference. And guess who comes to the parent-teacher conference?
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, okay. And that's so cool.
Oh, he couldn't believe it. He was like, you're Derek May? He's shaking his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Definitely royalty in Detroit royalty. But I always like that that period in the 60s, the MC5 era, the Stooges. I grew up on that music. A lot of my neighbors had even Bob Seger, like those early Bob Seger records. People forget how good those early psychedelic Bob Seger records are.
Mm-hmm.
like 2+2 is on my mind, and people think of like Night Moves, and nothing wrong with that, but
Right.
you know,
But
people
the earlier
forget,
stuff
like,
was better. Yeah.
yeah, where he mixed like soul music with like the psychedelia of that era, and those records, some of those records have never been reissued. We see him occasionally here in Detroit because he was popular here.
Right.
But I actually I used to work for a nonprofit firm, and I actually had a chance to talk to Punch Andrews, who was Bob's manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I said, Mr. Andrews, why have those Bob Seger records never come out? The ones from the '60s, and all he said to me was, "Nobody wants to hear that shit." That was
Well, that's an assumption. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here. Is that it? Is that the Grand Ballroom, you think?
It does look like the Grandy Ballroom to me.
It's
Yeah.
Derek May in the theater parking garage in 1988. That's like an iconic kind of picture.
Because the Grandy was very ornate like that.
This is the wax basics on Detroit.
Great magazine.
Uh,
Yeah, that could be it.
Was that
yeah.
did it have that mosaics on the wall?
Don't know. You tell me.
Was that the interior, Shawn? Was it really ornate like that?
It was very ornate
with
back
columns
in the day.
like that. Wow.
Because it was really made not for rock and roll, but for like.
What was it made for?
It was before it was pre rock and roll, so it was made when there were, orchestras coming in, and they were doing
Guy Lombardo, that kind of thing.
It doesn't surprise me, because in Melbourne, for example, we have buildings of the same time period, like we've got a few big ballrooms, and there's a big concert venue in the town center called the Forum.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that. It's the same kind of, like, the ceiling is ornate in the same way, Yeah, it's. I'm not surprised.
There was a craftsmanship to building, making things, and the shame of it is, for the 30, 40 years that they just let that building just deteriorate, with the roof, and year after year of rain coming into it, and just destroying. I remember when we crept in through the back door, and we didn't even want to go in too far because you could tell the floor was like ready to just collapse.
Right.
Yeah. And, it's a shame when they let things like that go, because I mean, they realize too late. The heritage and the preservation societies realize, we have a building like this. They just recently, a few years ago, made this wonderful documentary called The Lost City of Melbourne. And it is basically, kind of a love letter to the old Melbourne that used to exist, and that was pulled out bit by bit because, people are greedy. They want to build, big apartment buildings, and they want to. And there was an iconic theater called the Metro. It was called the Palace first, and the Metro. Then, and it had the most beautiful mosaics inside, like the most intricate kind of, and it was being they tried to save it, they tried to not because and so the people who sort of own it, quote unquote, went in and actually pulled out all the mosaics of the wall, so rendering the whole thing just
that happens all the time.
Saving it.
They try to erase it.
Yeah. Instead of, so they just destroyed it from the inside, actually, which was horrible. Like there was a big public outcry at the time, and it's horrible. Yeah, but that happens.
There's a theater in Detroit called the Olympia where like Elvis Presley played, and another really iconic. I remember my parents telling me stories about my mom and dad going on dates to the Olympia. And that's long gone. It's just a shame because I've seen pictures of the inside of it, completely unique looking, beautiful, ornate theater, and it's just completely gone because nobody valued it.
When you read about these iconic places where XYZ played or whatever album was made, or we're all into that mythology of rock and roll, like quote unquote rock and roll, or jazz or whatever it may be. But you read in a book, oh yeah, on that street, this record, or they lived in that house, and sort of collective imagination, is at work, and just go, well, can I find this place? And it's so disappointing when you go to the place and it's not a McDonald's or a fucking, like you go and you go,
A Starbucks. Yeah.
Like there's places like in Paris like that where it used to be like, classic concert venue where, all these bands played, and now it's a freaking like supermarket or something. And you go, how disappointing, like, but obviously they don't care about rock and roll as much as we do. That's the problem. Yeah, but
there's a certain short-sightedness to it. I think that in Detroit that they've had about a lot of like iconic places that around the city that they've allowed over time to just deteriorate. It's when I was going to Wayne and my buddy, I remember the day he suggested that we go there, and I was a little apprehensive, to be honest with you guys. I was like, what are we going to do? But we loved music, and we weren't going there to harm anything. But we figured that building was only going to be there it was only a couple more years before the whole thing was just going to collapse in on itself. And he goes, I just want to get a couple pictures of the inside before it's gone. And so we went there. So it was nice when a few years, they're actually making a documentary about it. And they'll use some of the money from that to restore the building.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And now on the outside of it, when you drive by it, it has like a big picture of like the MC5 and the Stooges. And so it's starting to get some traction.
Yeah. Detroit is really a great music town, in that sense. So much.
Detroit's a great town. A lot of great people here. It's a shame, economically, it's really taken. It's starting to change.
It's been battered, yeah. But from Motown to Detroit techno to the Stooges, all these, it's amazing what it's produced. Just an amazing array of bands.
Mitch Ryder.
Oh right, Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. Yeah.
Great. Have you ever heard of the band that came in the 70s? It was called Detroit. It was just called Detroit, and it featured him as the vocalist. They do a killer version of Lou Reed's Rock and Roll.
Really?
Yeah. If you ever see that record, it's just called Detroit, and it has a car on the front of it. It's a good record.
Rami, you showed Grand Funk. Are they from Detroit? Where were they?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, from the suburb of.
They were from Flint.
Flint. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. What a shame those guys can't get along. It's just ridiculous. That is like one of the biggest shames of rock and roll. That a band like that can't like get rid of the differences and get together, because they would stir. There's so many people who love that band in that period.
For sure.
Isn't Flint bowling for Columbine as well? Isn't that the same town? Where there was a shooting? Is that the same place? I'm thinking
that's in Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Ohio.
Yeah.
You might be thinking of the movie called that Michael Moore made called
Bowling for Columbine. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But then his first film was called he made it about General Motors. And it was about the whole decline of the city.
All right.
And pretty good movie.
I saw that one. Very good movie. Yeah.
Oh, Grand Funk.
Oh, yeah.
The red one, with Paranoid, they cover they covered the Animals.
They could be touring. They could be touring to adoring fans. 5 generations of people, like going to Rolling Stones concert, could be enjoying Grand Funk Railroad, but those schmucks can't get along and settle their differences. They can't even be in the same room together.
When I took a trip back in the days, I was still living in France, and I was visiting DC with my wife.
Yeah,
and we were in the Navy Space Museum, and after that, we had a burger, the real American experience, with the place surrounded by thousands of screens showing baseball and stuffs, and a couple next to our table, and they were playing We Are an American Band, and a couple
produced
next
by
to the
Todd
table.
Rundgren.
Yeah,
right.
I know. And then the couple asked, "Hey, this band, what is that?" And I jumped on my chair. I said, "That's Grand Funk Railroad." And the guy gave me I felt American that day.
They did do Michael, they did do a reunion. I remember in the 90s, we went to go see them at the Palace.
Ballad of Todd Rundgren is
Sure.
an incredible record. Todd, I'm not such a big fan of. Would have been that record is amazing. Chain Letter is an incredible pop composition.
He's a talented guy.
Very.
Yeah, that's the only Todd I have. I don't have much.
Oh,
else.
you should have more.
I used to own a Wizard, a True Star, and something, anything, but they didn't do anything for me. So I just had to part with them. But these two have kept a nice record. Carry on. Sorry, interrupting.
Recordus interruptus.
Yeah. Hey, look. That's it's. My excuse is passion. Sorry.
The first time I was introduced to Todd Rundgren, that's that TV series, that 70s show with Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
And they had that song "Hello, It's Me," and it piqued my curiosity.
Oh yeah.
That's the very first time I heard about Mr. Todd Rundgren. And it's way different from what we will do. I know you're a big fan, Michael. You can talk about Todd Rundgren.
I can't. The British just laugh at me. They belittle me. I can't even show them anymore. But
tonight you're on my show, so be my guest.
I think he has I personally think he has a place in that kind of like, off-center pantheon of like. I don't understand why they belittle you, because he's a genius, really. I mean, if you think about it, he's like is he not cool? I don't care what's cool anyway.
Somehow his music just did not take off in the UK. I don't know why. That happens, right? I mean, and a lot of British acts didn't take off in the United States, and they love their British acts, and so. There's a certain, what's the word? Not provincialism, but there's a certain, nationalism with certain types of music when it comes to the UK and America. And Todd Rundgren did not transcend for them. Like, he ain't no Fleetwood Mac. I hate Fleetwood Mac, but it's not that type. He didn't bridge the way.
He's not David Essex.
Huh? He's what's that?
He's not David Essex. He's not David
Essex. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny, because they make fun of you at the stream, and then they talk about the Wombles.
Yeah.
And they like crazy about the Wombles.
Yeah.
My God.
Wombles. Yeah. Get real.
I love Ian. I really love Ian. If you are watching the stream, I really like you. And but come on, guys. Yeah.
But even if you didn't like Rundgren's music, he did so much producing. He produced many people.
I want to show you guys something.
Nice setup, Michael.
Hey, sure, hop on, Dave. It's a.
Hey, Dave.
It's a.
Oh my God! Why can't I find it?
Stunty had a good stream tonight.
Yeah, I followed the first 1 hour, and after that, I had to prepare for my.
I was in the car. Unfortunately, I couldn't participate too much. But
this is a CD. It's only on CD. It's called an LP's worth of tunes, and it includes one of each of the bands that Todd Rundgren, and this is not even a complete. I mean, because he produced the band Stage Fright, but I mean, look at this XTC, and is it
the New York Dolls?
The New York Dolls.
Yeah, that's a great track.
He didn't just produce the singles; he produced the whole fucking records.
Yeah,
Steve Hillage, and
Patti Smith.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
So whenever it's time for the British to drink a cup of "Shut the Fuck Up," I show them.
Yeah, I think it's time.
Lords of the New Church too. Wow, I didn't know that. He did more than I even thought.
Yeah, but I think I knew his
Howdy,
reputation.
guys.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Hey,
Hi,
FEJ.
David.
How are
How are
you
you, David?
Not too bad. Welcome to the quietest VC member.
doing? That's true. Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you, French Vinyl Addict, Romuald,
Very
Big
good.
Star, and I never been on the same panel as Shawn before either.
No,
Hey,
never.
Shawn. Shawn. Michael, yes. Hi, Michael.
Yes, we go way back.
Yeah, we do.
This is only the second or third stream I've ever done. So
And
Oh.
another one of them was with me too.
Yep. Yep.
with on Jose's stream, yeah.
Jose, that's right. That was fun.
Yeah. We
That
had a
was
good,
really
we had a good time on it. Yeah, it was quite good. Yeah.
Since then, I moved into a new apartment. My place there was kind of smaller, but I've moved into a condo, and
Yeah, well, they're kind of fun. I mean, like I can't imagine doing a stream every day, but once in a while, it's kind of like, yeah, just talk shit, show records,
Yeah.
digress.
no one else is going to look at my records. Nobody else who comes over here wants to see them. So.
You have to show them. You have to show them to people who live in Melbourne, Tokyo, Montreal, and where does Wyoming? Dave live in Wyoming, I imagine.
Wyoming
With the
State,
name
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I got a new record the other day.
I love that record, Michael White. Yeah, it's a great record.
Really nice.
Yeah.
I saw it on Dom Seeking the Thread did a thing and showed it, and I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
What kind of music is it?
The other record is great too.
What is that for? What kind of music? Never.
It's like a spiritual jazz,
I was
Okay.
going to say he's some kind of jazz artist, I think, isn't he?
but it's violin kind of dominated,
Yeah.
and
He was in the Fourth Way. He was in the band The Fourth Way. You know that.
nice.
So it's
Oh,
70s,
nice.
Michael White, yeah.
Very cool.
1970s.
ABC Impulse record.
Yeah, 70s for sure.
72. Yeah. But thank you for reminding me, because I haven't played those forever. So thank you, Shawn. So what did you think of The Land of Spirit and Light? Did you enjoy it?
I had played it 2 or 3 times just on the digitally, and I just was like, I gotta have it. So I ended up. It was a little bit harder.
Look at the lineup. Look at the lineup for a start.
Yeah.
Prince Lasher, Cecil McBee on this. I mean, it's got to be good.
Actually.
It's and there's the sleeve alone.
The sleeve is
Yeah.
great.
I think I've heard of that Prince Lasha before.
Yeah.
It was a little tough to find a good copy, though. I had to search far and wide to find one that was decent, because it goes for a lot of money, and then you buy something that's just you don't want to put on your record player because you don't want to hear the noise.
Yeah. I bought mine probably I want to say 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. They were still, I'd say they were still attainable. Like you could still find these, easily enough. I think I found it locally actually in at a record fair in
I was
Melbourne.
going to say, Fred, you strike me as somebody who sources physically. In other words, you don't source via Discogs or mail order.
Oh, yes, I do. Oh no, I do. No, but, I buy a lot of Discogs. Yeah, no, I just everything. Yeah. I go to shops for sure, but Bustling and Reggie, that's a good pal of mine. We talk all the time. Mike used to be a VC video maker in the early days when we started in around 2011, 12. Mike made lots of videos and we connected that way. We met in New York once, and it's a good buddy. We've got a WhatsApp group and stuff. So
Okay. And does anyone knows about this guy or this? No?
Tice.
His name's
He's a
Tice.
great guy.
Tice.
Okay.
Tice, yeah.
I've heard
Great
of him.
guy.
Seen him.
Well, welcome, guys. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, Sounder Miner has a great channel. If you don't know that channel, he does great streams and has amazing taste in music.
Yeah.
Very experimental and but good. And he was just in Japan, Michael, not too long ago.
Yeah.
Did he make a video of his dig?
He did.
Okay, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. He went to a lot of stores. He did a lot of traveling. I saw that video.
Ben Rankings, he went also to Japan after the US, and he made a video about his purchase. I still have to watch that video, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's come to Japan a number of times, Ben.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah.
His wife is Japanese, but
oh yeah, that's the reason. Yeah.
That helps.
Yes, indeed. Ethiopia is my new rabbit hole, I would say.
Yeah.
I just listened to Mulatu of Ethiopia, which sounded very free jazz record to me, and this is another something different. But from Ethiopia, I bought this when I was with Dom in the au 33 Tours. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But this looks more traditional than
tribal, yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Ethio jazz is again.
It's not very jazz. It's like captured directly. You can feel really a party of people singing. Sort of campfire stuff. And
kind of tribal sounding.
Exactly, tribal. It reminded me, that at the end of the More soundtrack, Pink Floyd, when you can hear the sounds.
Yeah.
I had exactly the same feeling. Of course, it's not Ethiopia more. It's Papuasie something, but yeah. Mulat, yeah.
To a stack.
Oh, nice.
So this guy here is
Mulat, yeah.
Is the James Brown, the Fela Kuti, the Iggy Pop, the whatever you want. And he lived in America. Well, he lived all over the place, New York, London, and I went to see him in Melbourne on tour. When he made this record with the Black Jesus Experience, which is they're a Melbourne band, and so and he walked past me. I'm 6'4", and he's like 4 foot. He just walked past me. It was kind of a surreal experience, but he still had it. This record here, can I recommend a record that is mind-blowingly well produced, put together? It's a Ethio jazz record. To Know Without Knowing. I think it got an international reissue on Mr. Bongo later, but this is the original one. When I saw him live, I think I still have what have I got inside there? Yes, Black Jesus Experience. When was that? The 2019. There you go. There we are. Very cool. Anyway, side story. Very nice.
Something kind of like in those lines is this Guy Warren.
Yeah, Guy Warren. That's a great record. Yeah. That's super.
It's they label it jazz, but it's kind of tribal.
I would love to
stereo album too. Those are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds really good and really unique. I mean, there are a few tracks on it that are jazz. It has a couple. There's even some vocals on a couple tracks, but for the most part, it's all drums.
I never heard of him before. No.
I think he was from Nigeria, Guy Warren, or somewhere like that. But then,
he was originally from Nigeria.
Yeah, that's
right.
And
had always wanted to do music and play professionally. And I guess a Western company offered him a gig to make a record, and they said you can make any record you want to, and this is the record made. And the only thing they had control over, from what I read, was the cover. The record company had control over the cover. He had complete artistic control.
Wonder if any of that album on YouTube.
Late 50s, early 60s?
This came out in the 50s, 56. 58, I'm sorry, 58.
Let's pulling out this, Shawn, you might be. It's cool. It's African tribal dancing, but set for ballet, from Guinea, I think. Guinea. These are just like cheap records that you can find here and there, which, a long time thing. But I just love these kind of ethnographic records. They're just, and sorry for you're going to get canceled on YouTube.
Once again, Fred, come on.
No, it's and I've got another record on my feed there that
those are pimples.
There.
Just pimples.
was listening to Rai a lot recently. Rai is Arabic pop music.
Oh,
This
cool.
is Algerian pop music
Yeah.
sung in Arabic, and kind of the crossroad between new wave and traditional Arabic music.
Yeah.
Mm.
Cool.
And then this is Unborn Bad. This is a comp. I've been listening to this a lot recently, and it's just really great, sort of
Sleeve is amazing. I love it.
funky, melodic, rhythmic. Time as well, also a bit moody in terms of, but yeah, Rye.
Where is Born Bad? Is that French? Where did I see a French
French,
address?
yeah, from France. This comp too is great. I've got that comp there behind me. This one too is really worth. This is easy to grab as well. The Rye Rebels with
Mm.
Sheb
Khaled. Sheb Khaled.
Sheb Khaled, and
Yeah.
just a lot of really great Algerian singers.
Uh-huh.
Very, very cool.
Yeah,
so
because it's when we say Arabian music, it's not like spacey with the female vocals kind of
it's
stuff.
pop music. It's basically pop music
It's
from
pop
Algeria.
music. It's
Yeah.
very joyful, and it applies to only one part of the Arabic word, more precisely Algeria, and those many people who immigrate to France. Yeah.
Right.
Good.
We're here to talk about all musics. Todd Rundgren,
Totally.
Grand Funk Railroad, and Rai as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
This is Stunty showed these.
Make him big. Make him big.
And,
Oh yeah. That's the UNESCO collection is amazing. Yeah. Good
and
man.
I mean, these beautiful booklets that come with
Oh,
them.
yeah.
I think I
Uh-huh.
paid $2 for this record.
Record
Wow.
porn. 100% record porn.
Record porn.
Absolutely.
And the music is just amazing, just beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, spiritual in the best sense of when you say spiritual, it's spiritual.
Fantastic, phenomenal. I know we've shown some really. I mean, how long have we been going, Romuald?
2 hours and a
Almost
half.
two and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been showing lots of records. It's been an experience. Well, because when I joined your live stream, there was almost no one in the thing, and I thought, oh, I better arrive and we'll have a little bit of interaction. It's better when you've got two people at least on screen, because you're talking by yourself. It's like, what's happening. And then Michael joined, which is great. And then Shawn came. It's fantastic. I love it.
And Dave.
Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Romeo. How do you pronounce your name? Romuald, right?
Oh, sorry. Everyone keeps asking Romuald.
Romuald.
Romuald. something like
Romuald.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to these yet, but I wanted to show. I came across 3 Rush albums.
Oh, cool. Make you big.
I need to get
Second
off my
album.
I need to
First
get
one
off,
with
Oh, I
Neil
remember
Peart.
that jacket.
I need to get off my ass and listen to them. I haven't yet.
Yeah, this the first one with Neil Peart. Yeah, Fly by Night.
This isn't a very good cover, but I came across. Well, the back cover is better. Chris
That's
Steele.
the third. Yeah, Carrots of Steel. On this album, there is a song called Lakeside Park, which is actually
Sure
the
is.
place where we grew up, very
Oh,
close
really?
to the St. Catharines. Yeah, it's the band was from Toronto, but Neil Peart grew up very close to Niagara Falls,
Yeah,
which is on the lake shore, Lake Ontario, and Lakeside Park. Yeah, very prog album,
Permanent Waves
fantastic. They recorded that one in Wales. Yeah,
has the Spirit of Radio on it.
yeah.
I've heard some of this album before, but the other 2 I need to listen to.
I saw Rush on their Signals tour.
Thanks.
Oh, 1992. Yeah.
Yep.
I
was never a big Rush fan, but I went with
Me
some
neither. I
friends.
can't stand that vocalist. The sound
Yeah,
of his
that's
voice.
that's the thing.
That's the deal killer, right?
Yeah, I grew up with that band. I really grew up. I grew up in France before moving here, Canada. But my father, he took a trip in the 70s to see the other part of my family. Were already established here in Toronto area, and he brought some records from Rush because there were nobody in France. So he saw them live in Hamilton, close to Toronto, and he brought some records. And I
What
grew
year
up.
did you see them live? What year did you see them live?
My father, he saw them live in I'm in 79 something.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
79. Yeah. So years before I was born, he was a young singles, and yeah, he took it. He took several trips to Canada. He bought 2112 and that one. Yeah, the farewell, not the farewell to Kings, and Permanent Waves. Yeah, yeah. So this is basically the records I grew up with.
When Rush would come to Detroit, what I always remembered was they were so popular. And this is back when I was in high school, early 90s or so.
Yeah.
And they would sell out like 3 nights. They would play like the big arena in town, and they would sell like they put one night on sale and that would sell out, and then another
Right.
night, another night, and that's just how they were just so popular at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't really my thing, but I can appreciate they're talented people, no doubt about it. And I always liked that New World Man. Is that the name? The synth song.
Yeah.
That's a good song. I like it.
Yeah, very mainstream.
A little different.
Today, I have to say, maybe my 2 favorite records are 2112 and Moving Pictures. Way different. Moving Picture is not that progressive type of music. 70s. They evolved to our more pop synth kind of stuff, but yeah, very
So what's the
iconic.
story? Are they going to get? There's rumors that they're supposed to like get back together, but with
Oh yeah, I read a lot of different things. I don't know.
could they do that? Without
Yeah, who knows?
Dan? I guess Led Zeppelin did it. They can do it.
Yeah. That's that he was so important as a drummer. He wrote
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
the
of
thing, right?
He wrote, yeah. He had what we call what we would call in France a feather. So he knew how to write some very very nice lyrics and very meaningful. Pretty hard. Maybe So go
I
ahead.
have a friend who went to the Led Zeppelin reunion, the one show that they did in the UK.
In
and,
2008, yeah.
He said, he goes, I've never been to a show like that before. He said, just before the band was going to come on, he goes, you get this huge arena with all these people there, and you could hear a pin drop.
Mm.
He goes, I've never heard so many people collectively so quiet.
Mm.
Cool.
There was just this anticipation building. He said it was amazing, just amazing.
Yeah, I was trying to buy some tickets, but I was a little bit too young and I didn't have a lot of money. And it was that year we had Yazoo reunion, Led Zeppelin, and Cream did also a reunion. They
That's
were
right.
playing at the Royal Albert Hall, and yeah,
You said a Yazoo?
Yazoo. That's they are known as Yazoo.
Yeah.
In the UK and in the US, it's more of Yaz. Yeah.
Goodbye 70s, all those synths.
I have both those.
Yeah,
two albums.
exactly.
Love
Yeah.
that.
I have
Yeah.
those records. They're in my collection.
Yeah, they made only 2 albums upstairs at Eric's, and
You and me
and
both.
you and me both.
Dalmatians on the cover.
Yeah, it's.
I was
This is,
always a big Depeche Mode fan, so they were right up my valley.
But this is Vince Clarke. He started with Depeche Mode, then founded Yazoo. Then he had that project called the Assembly. They only dropped 1 song, I think.
And
then
Speaking of Led Zeppelin, he has a great record.
Kanaga.
Who's that? Let's see that, Fred.
That's something that I pulled out recently.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a band from Mali who do a sort of a brand of like African jazz, but it's not really jazz. It's tribal music, but mixed with a sort of an idea of jazz. Classic record. It's a reissue, obviously, because I'm not made of money, but it's how would you like to have this as a sleeve? Like,
It's wild.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Kanaga the Mopti. Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah. Just because you're talking about Led Zeppelin, and I thought I've got something like Led Zeppelin.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the one record I could think of. Yeah.
Hey, that's Robert Plant there. Like look at him. There he is.
For those who don't know, Fred hates Led Zeppelin?
I don't hate Led Zeppelin. I just think that they're probably the most. I mean, it's just because I've heard it enough. It's a bit like with the Beatles. I've heard it enough. No, I still love listening to the Beatles once in a while, but it's more like I'm just more interested in stuff that. I mean, this is not new to me, but this is a great little EP. Do you guys know this?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Jawobble.
Yeah.
Jackie Liebezeit and Olga Chuka. So Jackie Liebezeit and Olga Chuka were in Cannes, obviously, and Jawobble was in Public Image Limited. He was the bass player. This is a killer track. This track, How Much Are They, is so good. It's off the charts. Sort of like crap rock, post-punky, new wavy, but sort of like off-center kind of.
It's a single, Fred?
Yeah, it's a single. It's a 4-track
Okay.
single. Yeah.
I think Stunty played that not too long
Recorded
ago.
at 20 Plank Studio. Yeah. Don't know why I'm showing things that are just nothing to do with each other. Here, Cecil McBee.
Let's see.
Cecil McBee.
Oh yeah.
It's a great record.
NJ Records, I've heard of that record company.
Music from the source.
Chico Freeman, I've heard of. Chico Freeman, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Cecil McBee is basically it's easily one of the greatest jazz bass players of his time. There's a bit of techno. John Beltram,
Oh yeah.
10 Days of Blue live.
Oh, that's the live
something
one.
I found locally. What was that?
Did that just come out like last year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just recently, live at Deck Mental. So this is Detroit techno basically, or just techno, more
That's
or
a
less.
beautiful record.
Yeah, this here, which I've been playing quite a bit recently. Julius Eastman. So Julius Eastman is dead, a minimalist composer in the vein of Steve Reich comes to mind, or music here is very minimal. It's just 2 notes repeated over and over with slight variations. Came out in in 1974 at the time, but he's a black gay man who struggled in his time, but and then something else that sounds like Led Zeppelin, 100%.
Where did he work, Fred?
Oh,
That
love this
composer
record.
that you showed.
Tony Conrad with Faust. Yeah, this is very jarring. That's Shawn music. Shawn.
That's a
would-
great record. That is just a dynamite
So
record.
what was your question, Michael?
The one before, where did he live and work? Where was his practice?
I think he's a New Yorker. I think he lived
Really?
New York. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Composed at the Composers Forum in Albany, the Art Center on the campus of Academy, Holy Names, Albany, New York. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely New York.
I would think what's his name would know him. Who Rami just met in Montreal, whose name is escaping me.
Dom.
Dom would know, right? Doesn't Dom live in Albany?
No, he lives in.
He
He lives in Ithaca.
Okay.
He's in New York State.
Yeah,
New York State. Yeah.
Showed John Wobble. I still have my metal box.
That is just such a great record.
Public
It's
Enemy
so
as well.
sought after. It's so expensive now.
I bought it back in the day when you would see these and they weren't very much.
Right.
Mine's a little rusty.
They
Yeah,
all
quite
are.
expensive.
I don't think anyone could find one without the oxidation on it.
I think there's something people clean them up with and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I think I've seen them where people show them and they're nice and shiny and they claim it's
No
an
kidding.
original. So maybe they're better at taking care of them than I am. But I love that record. That was if I could point to any one record as like a life changer, that record just turned me on to so many. I was kind of into punk and that showed me, opened up a whole world of reggae and krautrock and prog and all that stuff. It just opened up a whole nother world for me.
Believe it or
It
not,
was a single record, right? It wasn't a double record.
It's well, originally as it
Triple.
came out like this, it's 340. It's three discs, and they all three of them play at 45 RPM.
Oh, really?
And then they re-released it as an edition called Second Edition
Yeah,
in the US, and that was a double LP.
yeah. And the one you've got, it has got no track listing. It's meant to be played in whichever order you want. It's not. It was meant to be just like very sort of like, if you wanted to play the third record first or whatever, you could. Yeah.
I guess Lydon originally wanted them to come out with pieces of sandpaper between each of the three discs, so that as you took them in and out, it would deteriorate the sound quality.
Was there so in the packaging, just the discs alone? Can you just open it up for a second?
Let me see if I can get it open.
Here's the
That I've
That's
seen.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
the same thing. It's the same record. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's, Michael, there's like the can part,
Yeah.
and then it had.
Wow. Wow. Look at that.
Mine's a little bit.
Yeah,
beat
yeah,
up.
yeah.
And then between each of the discs was just they didn't let Lydon do the sandpaper, so it was just a sheet of paper,
Yeah.
and then just the each one of the discs.
Loose.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, and then getting them out of here. It's not the easiest
I
package.
know. I know.
To get things in and out of. But it's iconic. It's cool.
Yeah.
And the sound is for audiophile. It really does sound dynamite. The bass is, kills you.
I can imagine Albatross on that version would sound very big.
Just
such great, such
it's
a great
beauty. I mean, the music isn't really beautiful. If you want to see a great, watch they went on. Believe it or not, they went on like American. What was the name of those like Saturday morning pop shows?
American Bandstand.
American Bandstand. They went on American Bandstand, and they were supposed to lip sing to pop tunes.
Really?
And Lydon just completely gives up trying to sing and starts pulling members of the audience. It's just chaos, and but like in the best way, like the best rock and roll kind of way.
If that clip's on YouTube, it might be.
It's on YouTube for sure. It's worth watching. It's fun.
Believe it or not, I don't even know. I've never looked up PIL's music before. Believe it or not, I've never looked up their music.
This record, the first one is really good, and then the one that came right after this one, "Flowers of Romance."
I've got it just here on my feet as you speak. Here.
Well, it was Ja Wobble who was so key in the earliest recordings, right? I mean, he made the music.
Cool.
This record is superb. Actually, it's a really great record.
Really.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. That's a great record. Very, very avant-garde.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
The Flowers of Romance.
Yeah.
And the name came from so Lydon's really, really good friend in real life was Sid Vicious, and Sid's first band was called Flowers of Romance, and so he named it after his friend after he died.
What a great sleeve too, so iconic.
Yeah.
I love that jacket cover. Yeah.
They still did some good singles after that record, but they never did another. In my mind, anyway, they never did another great record after Flowers of Romance. But they did do some good singles.
I quite like this record too.
Yeah, that first one.
The debut album is it's got the Public Image track as well.
I love that track.
Killer track.
For me, that was it. That was such an amazing song.
It was like almost like they hit their height. Like the first thing they did, they killed it, and they could have stopped right there, in a way.
Yeah, the percussion is just amazing.
It's one of my favorite things, which you can't even like. Can you see
I can see it. It's
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. This is not a love song.
Oh yeah. That's a great single.
Great tune.
And Public
great track.
Image.
I always like the so Lydon did that they did a 12-inch with African Zimbabwe, Eve of World Destruction.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, it was a cool, fun club song.
On this label here, whilst I was there, on celluloid.
Yeah.
There we are.
Wow.
The Last Poets.
Yeah, Last Poets, and I
Oh,
thought that track was
the
And
on.
French,
Mono Dibango.
the French punk band,
Time
Mathématiques
Zone. Yeah, I
Modernes.
see it.
Yeah, no, but this label
Oh,
is. I mean, I think most people, well, people would know this label. Solo was formed by Jean Caracos, who was the head of BYG.
BYG, yeah.
BYG Records, and he went to New York. He formed this record label, and the whole point was just to gather all these kind of melting pot of sounds that was happening in New York at that time. Just a crossover between burgeoning hip hop, disco, no wave.
Yeah.
All these kinds of sounds are found on there.
87, 88 around? What was the year?
Mathematic Modern is post punk. The Last Poets is like hip hop. You've got Futura 2000, who was a graph artist. He was a graffiti artist
He
turned
was a
musician.
street artist. Yeah.
With the Clash, you've got Material with Bill Laswell, great no wave bands. Time Zone. Time Zone is that's the band that worked with John Lydon. Yeah, am I right?
Well, you
Shawn?
think about New York in the late '70s with all happening in the same space at one time: disco, punk, and hip hop, all happening within miles of one another.
Yeah, and you think of artists like Kip Hanrahan, for example, who blended disco funk and Latin music and post punk, and you think, is that supposed to work? Yes, works.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's like
Or think about these hip hop kids being inspired by the beats from krautrock, experimental German music, inspiring, urban kids from New York to create hip hop music. It's just
Africa Bambaataa sampling Kraftwerk. Yes,
Trans Europe, yeah, Run DMC, yeah.
Hey, music can save the world, right?
But I think I was saying this to Stanley the other day, but I still feel that New York, between 1978 and 1982, is probably the greatest crossover of music of any place at any time in the modern era. Like, I don't think the cross pollination is so intense. You talk about Blondie and the Talking Heads, and then Africa Bambaataa, and then the Fania All Stars, and you've got all these things going into one another. You think, how? And and then you've got all this no wave stuff like Bill Laswell. You've got Philip Glass. You've got all these kinds of. It's amazing. Like you could, it's just it blows my mind to be alive at that time. Sonic Youth, Glenn Branca,
the whole no wave scene. Yep.
Yeah, like DNA, Teenage Jesus and the Jerks. You've got all these kind of it's incredible stuff.
And then you had all the street art. You had all the graphic artists who were doing art all over the subways and creating street art. It was just an explosion of culture and music and at exactly the time when the city was the disparitions in wealth. You had the very rich and then the very poor. So all of this is happening like at one moment. In time. Interesting.
Yeah, Lower Manhattan was really burnt out.
Yeah.
In the early 70s. I mean, they almost wrote it off.
Yep.
Really?
It almost didn't come back.
Look at the movies from that era, like from
look at the French Connection. Look at the French Connection will show you what New York was like in the 70s. Yeah. It was a war zone. I mean, you could drive into Lower Manhattan. I mean, you wouldn't see anybody on the streets. People were afraid to go out.
Jeez.
Yeah, and you're talking burnt out. I think they would actually burn out, build entire tenement buildings, for insurance jobs and for it's very kind of nefarious atmosphere.
Yeah.
Very, like I remember getting into this sort of like Latin boogaloo kind of band from New York, the Ghetto Brothers. Who were just like kind of like a crossover between the Beatles and like the Fania sound, kind of like a sort of and I remember reading this story and how they were in gangs, like they were like big time gangs fighting proper in
Yeah.
in Queens and Bronx, and like how everything was dilapidated and the buildings were on fire, and you just read that and you just think, fucking hell. You're just like, oh, okay, that's that was intense, you know. Anyway, yeah.
And the thing of it is that today, while it's hard to argue that it's not better, but in some ways, I've been to, I love New York. It's a great place. Still, it's a great place to go. But it has lost something. It's so now it's so commercial, and so, I hate to put it this way, but so safe that it's lost some of that grit.
Yeah, well, that's called formula retail, and it's everywhere. And so formula retail is global at this point.
Yeah,
I think London, UK is pretty much the same. You have more chances to talk with traders at the pub on Friday than the real people who made maybe the culture in the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah. But it's just gentrification,
Right?
Gentrification, yeah.
As a whole, because you've got these old suburbs or areas that were deemed to be like ratty or horrible or uncool, and then slowly you've got like cool young people move into them, they make them valuable or interesting, and then the real estate gets value, and then good stuff happens, and then what made it cool in the first place is it becomes boring.
Yeah.
Money filled kind of gentrified hellholes.
Yeah.
And then that moves a bit further, and so we've got this in Melbourne. Melbourne is that's the story of Melbourne. We've got suburbs which are like they were the cool suburbs in the 90s or in the 2000s, and now they're just fully gentrified. The houses are absolutely unaffordable. Nobody can move in there because
Right.
cost too much money, and then it pushes the limit further and further. I live in the suburbs I live in the far outer suburbs, so my suburb will never be cool, which is fine because I'm happy like that. But it's it really is it's happening everywhere. It's not just here. It's happening in every big city, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Even in Detroit, I'm sure.
It makes you wonder. So will we ever, like that explosion of culture that we saw? Is part of the formula that you have to have? All the rest of that has to be part of that formula. Will we ever see that explosion of disco and funk and?
Well, you just see something. There'll be something, but I mean, it may not be physical because we're so indebted to computers and technology. So
yeah. You're
it
right.
may not be people making things with their hands.
Yeah.
We might have to kiss those days goodbye.
But I think also it speaks about the nature of making great art, which to me is spawned out of probably misery, unrest, maelstrom.
Right.
Like you don't produce these kind of great, like where does hip hop come from? It doesn't come from a happy place. It comes from a really, really fucked up place where you have these characters who live in the ghetto basically, who have nothing, and they try to make something with the little nothing they've got. Now if you talk about this gentrified area, how are you going to get great art from this kind of wealth? You can't. So it's going to, I don't know that this, what we've seen in the 1970s, 1980s will happen again, because I mean, I don't know. I'm deluded, but do you know what I mean when I'm talking about art?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It doesn't come from a happy place. Like if you look at all great artists, they're all fucked up. Like you look at your Picasso, your Mark Rothko's, your
Van Gogh, yeah.
They're all bloody messed up, and it's what it takes. You can't, you can't be happy clappy and make great art. It doesn't go together.
But Fred, they have to have people who believe in them, and they have to have some sort of support system. And Rothko's a perfect example, although his gallery fucked him over. He still needed a support system. Yeah. And you need something. I mean, I agree with you. It comes out of a maelstrom. but it also takes somebody with an eye or a good ear to say, oh, something's happening there. I can't make that myself, but I want to support that. You need that other element or else it doesn't happen. Somebody's got to say, I want to support it.
But music. I know. I agree with you, Michael.
Yeah.
But music also, if you think of very grassroots kind of like hip hop or punk or whatever, a lot of it was very DIY. Like like press your single yourself and do like put it out. I mean, in the end, somebody's going to find you if you're good. But at the start, these people just making their own records in isolation and just going, oh fuck it, I'm just going to, you listen to ESG. ESG is a perfect example. ESG, to me, that's the band where you could just go, okay, here's a band of 4 sisters or 4 or 5 sisters from the Bronx who their mother bought them instruments because they thought, she thought, I'd rather you be indoors playing bass than burn cars in the street. So let's just, and they jammed together and played together and arrived at this formula, which is so original. Like you can recognize ESG, the first note, bass line, super simple. The drums are just, everything is so, finely chiseled in a very simplistic way. They came out of nowhere. They don't have it. It doesn't seem to be a reference point for them. And they made it out of their own bat because they were good,
Yep.
That kind of thing happening today seems more and more unlikely because there's so many people on online platforms, so many people competing, vying for attention. I don't think you would see that again. That's my take on it.
Yeah, but it's so watered down, and when it gets so watered down, that is the perfect opportunity for a radical to come in and do something. That is why art is always possible, no matter what. And I agree with you. I mean, there's so much crap music being produced right now. It is so fucking boring. It is unbelievably bad. But there's always people acting in response to that, making things that are great. Always, never change.
Yeah. You're talking about tough music coming from tough times. I've read this book a couple of times. I just got done rereading it again, and this is kind of the birth of the New York punk scene. And you talk about, I mean, there's some great stories, but some ugly stories. It's a great read if you haven't read this. It's a fun, good rock and roll read. But the place that CBGB's and Naxos Kansas City and the crazy stuff. But fun.
No, there's great accounts of that. There's a book that I read a while back, which is really great about the New York scene. It's called "Love Goes to Building on Fire," which is the very first track by the Talking Heads, basically. And the book is fantastic. It goes through several chapters of that kind of scene, and different iterations of the disco, the all that stuff. It's really, really, really well written.
Do you know the book England's Dreaming?
John Savage. Yeah.
Love that. Great.
Yeah, it's
one of my favorite books.
Yeah. I think I might jump off in a minute because I've got stuff to eat. It's 12:30 in the morning. It's in the afternoon. And I haven't eaten at all. I've been talking 3 hours. I've been loving this conversation. It was very impromptu and everything.
Thanks for stopping by.
To meet Michael for the first time in the flesh, and Dave as well. Who I know your face, but I've never spoken to you. And Romuald, we talk all the time. So, and Shawn, thanks again for your VCLT again. That was great to talk to you again.
Thank you.
I'll just carry on by all means. But I'm gonna jump off. Okay. Take care.
Thank you, Fred.
Bye, Fred.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Then there were 4.
Yeah.
I've never really had a chance to talk to you before, Michael. It's nice to have a chance to say hi. I've seen you on streams before. I used to see you on George's stream from time to time. And
Michael had his own show a year ago. He used to have his own live stream a year ago. That ended.
I'm kind of new. I haven't been around that long, so I don't know a lot of the everything.
Yeah.
I'm learning fast.
You
Yeah.
seem to be pretty active, Shawn. I see you on Stunny's stream, on Michael 45.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of like found that you find your
Niche.
you find your area of comfort,
Yeah.
and Michael was right from the beginning. Michael was always very supportive, and Stunty too. They like kind of helped me find my way a little bit, and I gravitated to Stunty's stream early. I think I found Michael 45 stream first. Like this is during COVID, and I started. I didn't say anything to anyone. I didn't talk. I just watched and
Right.
and watched Michael stream, and then I found Stunties, and then little by little. But it's only been like 6 months since I did my first video.
Oh yeah,
You're
really?
a newbie.
Yeah, I really I had been lingering around in the
Right.
background a little bit.
Can you a little bit talk about your channel for those who live under a rock, or maybe introduce the why, the wherefore, the motivation?
I just I thought it was about time that I started. I had been lingering around and coming into streams and getting to know people, and then people had been hitting me up, why don't you do a channel? And I thought, well, I should probably take the leap and let people know that I'm a real person and that I'm I'm out here. I don't think my channel doesn't really have a like you have a great direction. You're kind of prog and headed in that direction.
No, thank you.
I like that a lot. I try to focus maybe a little bit on Detroit music because I love a lot of Detroit music. But it's just I'm really kind of showing my record collection and what I like. And so I guess that's kind of the orientation to it. And I guess that tends to be a little bit of left to center, maybe a little bit, But there's plenty of stuff that I like that's just mainstream. I grew up a Midwestern kid liking rock and roll, Kiss, and all those bands, and then little by little graduated to Sonic Youth and to all the rest.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that's kind of my
Yeah.
story.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now it's it's always interesting. Luckily, we don't have like everyone has the same topics, or is weaving in the same rabbit hole. This is what the
Well,
beauty
that's the
of
one thing I wanted to do, is to like not show the same. I've noticed there is a little bit of a habit on some to end up showing the same records
Right.
Yeah.
again and again. And Michael, you always show like really unique stuff. You always have a unique story to it or a unique way of adopting it.
But I don't
That's
have a big
the way-
collection. I don't have a big collection at all. I mean,
How many records?
400.
Okay,
I mean, it's tiny. It's tiny. I mean,
I got about 1,100, so not that big.
and
either.
also, like, since I retired, I'm not going to be in acquisition mode because when you're retired, you're more into paring down mode.
Right.
But and that's why I'm making. That's why I've delved in. So it's like I don't have to. I can appreciate it. I can listen to it. I can stream it. I don't necessarily have to acquire it.
Mm.
So I mean, I'll never. I mean, there are a few records I'm constantly on the hunt for. That I can't seem to find. They may not be here. And once I get them, I'll move on. In the meantime, there's just so much that I can't afford to acquire.
Well, I'm gonna say I don't have a huge income. I have three boys, and they're all college age-ish. So yeah, there's that, and so I do what I can, but it's more about the music, and it should be more about the music than acquisition.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. How many records do you have, Dave? If I may ask.
Yeah.
Last time I counted, I had at least 1,200.
Okay.
Yeah. Too much actually, but
hey, yeah. And I have probably roughly 900 ish. Yeah.
Oh, we're all pretty close.
Yeah.
I've had as many as I sold off this last summer. I sold off probably 350 records or so.
Yeah.
I did a big
active
purge.
seller. if I buy something and I don't like it, the first thing on my mind is let me just get some cash for it so I can buy something else.
I hear that.
That works.
I do not hold on. It's like it's just dead money to me if
Yeah.
I hold on to it,
Yeah.
And I have this, I have certain friends out there that purchase records like speculators, and they really think that this is their going to be their nest egg, and I'm like, dude, you got to start selling it now. And like, no, the prices are going up. I'm like, no. You have to, and especially with the punk records, I'm like, the time to sell is now. And he's like, why? I'm like, because the next generation is not of that ilk. I mean,
it's going to time out.
It's there. Yeah. I mean, people, the people from who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, they have bank now.
Yeah.
For lack of a better, and the next generation is not going to appreciate punk the way the generation now has the money to buy it. So
That's true.
I just do not believe that they're going to keep increasing in value. Or they're going to keep increasing in value, but you can ask, but not. It takes someone to buy.
Yeah.
This whole thing of like, oh, that record sold for $5,000. Fine, yes, somebody bought it, yes, but replicate that sale again. Good luck.
I remember going to record shows when I was little, and the big thing was, and they were going for big money, were these Elvis Presley records. Nowadays they can't give these records away.
There you go. Perfect example. It's tulips. It's the tulips on the Dutch docks.
And that's going to be true of, and eventually, and I know it's kind of a sacred cow, but eventually even, and they'll have longer legs than most, but eventually even the Beatles will, that generation will time out. And the next, if you tell my kids, my boys, I tease them sometimes about the Beatles or something, and they're like, I don't care. They just have no interest.
Yeah, but the very sought after OG Press, UK, Mono, blah, blah, Parlophone, I think the price will never go that down. If it's
they
in
may
good
not
condition.
go back down, but there's not that they're not going to increase in number.
Yeah,
and the potential buyers will die.
Yeah,
they will decrease in number. I mean, what is it? Let me show you.
It'll take longer, but it'll eventually it'll start to happen. I mean,
this is what Stunty say. There is now this generation, people of really aged people, 70, 80 years old. They will not live forever.
No.
And some of their collection will be put on the market. It's sad, but it's
see that?
Yeah.
That is the Beatles mono. Please, please me, Parlophone. Okay.
Yeah, the gold. Yeah.
Okay. Now this store is looking. What this store is saying that if you bring it to us in mint condition, we will pay you 1,000,000 yen, which is let's say it's $8,000 US. Okay?
Wow.
I've seen this record. It's sitting in a private store in Tokyo with an asking price of this.
Wow.
And it will take, and he's not going to sell it tomorrow.
No.
I mean, that's what my wife says to me all the time. She goes, if you want it, if you need the money, then you should be buying and selling stocks, because stocks you can sell immediately. She goes, but records you cannot. And it takes. If you want that million, do you have the patience to wait for the buyer who's going to give you that $8,000? So we bandy about these stories of that record got $7,000 on Discogs. It's like, okay, yes, that's true. A seller and a buyer came together in a magic moment,
right?
But you can't recreate it. Not tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not an investment. I've had friends say the same thing. Oh, you'll be, when you retire, you'll be able to retire. I go, I'm not doing this because this is for my enjoyment. If I couldn't afford it, I would stop tomorrow. It should not be about an investment.
No.
It's advertising or not. So yeah, I'm not doing it to make money. Is it nice to make a little bit to have a record and find out it's worth $100 and make some money on it, and then buy another Sure it is.
Pay it up.
It takes work, but it takes work to get that $100.
Yeah.
It takes work and patience. It ain't like that.
I recently sold off my I had Metallica records,
Mhm.
and back when I was, and it was something that wasn't important to me anymore,
Right.
and
You
I was
grew out
able
of
to.
it.
Yeah, I outgrew it a little bit. Now there's some stuff that I would never get rid of, like my Kiss records or whatever.
Yeah.
But I made a little bit of money, and then I could go ahead, and when I wanted to buy this, I didn't have to worry about it.
Right.
I could just take the money, and if it was a little bit more to get one that's a little bit cleaner, I could just get it. So
Right.
that's so if I can make a little bit of money that way, that's okay.
I'm of the same mind because you use record sale money to generate the money to buy that record, as opposed to going to your savings account and
That's
taking
right.
out the money that could have been going to a college payment.
Yeah,
It's-
or my son saying I don't have any money for gas or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So that's that's a record. It's fun.
Like they say, a record's only worth as much as someone will pay for it too. That's
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah.
The other thing too is if you're from a certain age, like probably Michael and I, we bought records from a time in our lives when they were a lot cheaper, and then we
Mhm.
watched the value of them go like this.
Yeah,
Whereas if you're collecting in the last 10 years, you don't have that same opportunity. A lot of my records that I have here that are now worth $70, $80, I bought for $6 or $7.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's a generational thing, though. You won't have that again for young,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah, but it's silly. I have a lot of younger people because the French vinyl community people are much more younger. Let's say they are in the 20s or 30s. And how can you say, hey, be part of the club? If you are showing off records, 8,000 or $800 value,
Yeah.
doesn't work. Doesn't work. Hey, I have my record. It will rise up in value. How can you include these young people? How can you share? How can you just, you know what I mean?
It's a discouragement in a way.
Yeah.
They get
Yeah.
scared. They go, "Oh my God, this isn't for
Totally.
me."
Totally.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. There's this stigma that you have to buy new, and if you buy new, like this Doors Bach, this
Box.
acoustic record, $60 right?
Yeah.
For a record that what you're gonna play one time, two times. I mean, how many times are you gonna go? Oh, man, I need to hear Riders on the Storm tonight. I need to recoup my $60 investment. So, the thing is you have to go and dig. You just have to go and dig. And, I don't know. And it depends on where you are, because there are certain places in the States where the pickings are really slim.
Yeah.
The
More.
dollar bins are crap and the quality is crap. So
Sometimes. Yeah.
There used to be a record store in Detroit called Sam's Jams, and it was a warehouse. It was a huge place. And this is when CDs were CDs were hot.
Mhm.
And me and my buddy would go there on a Friday night, and we would go they had 50-cent records and dollar records.
right.
And people would bring their record collections in, trade them in for pennies on the dollar, and then buy CDs.
Yep, I remember.
And a lot of my records and records in the other room came from, we would walk for $20. I could walk out of there with a stack of records like this, and they would be Black Sabbath and Rolling Stones and all those kind of records.
Yeah.
It was just that was a fun time to collect records, because you could experiment and try country music records that you never would normally buy, or odd jazz records or whatever, and it was 50 cents or $1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember in the year 95, 2000, I used to work in Switzerland, my parents, and we were very close to the border. And people, once a month, they could get rid of their furniture, electronic old units. They were simply putting on a sidewalk,
Yeah.
and you could literally pick up some great stuff, because Swiss people they really like clean. It's like it's used, but it looks like new.
Right.
And you could pick some great. I could pay my first stereo. I pay nothing. I just had to pick up from the sidewalk. Yeah. Those were the days.
Yeah, that's a fun. That was a fun. I remember going to garage sales and
Yeah.
buying. I used to have a Techniques and I think I paid $10 for it, and it didn't seem like any big deal or anything like that until I
Yeah.
got silly and I got older and I started paying a lot of money for things.
Yeah, Shawn, I started way back when I was 20 years old, back in 1990. I like going to the secondhand stores. I remember back in the early, people were dumping off records in the early 90s at thrift
Oh
shops.
yeah,
So it's more, they still do today, but more in the early 90s.
I recently went to a garage sale where there was a guy selling off an old record collection, mainly kind of classic rock, Humble Pie, that kind of stuff. And I was amazed at how they were really cheap, couple bucks each. And he had a huge collection, and he was moving, and he didn't want to take the record collection with him. They were moving
Right.
out west, and so with those, that's becoming more and more rare that you run into those.
Good question. Do any of you blind buy? What's your brains?
Occasionally, I mean, that's the topic for Ian's live stream. The answer is yes, and it's 50-50. I mean, I 50-50. I get a great record and I get a crap record, and
I know who the band is. I don't blind buy, but no.
Yeah. I would say like you, Michael. Sometimes it does happen. Yeah. And if I buy reissues, yeah, but I do buy reissues.
I got this as a blind buy last week, and it's fantastic. I'd never heard of her before. And Dwayne Allman plays guitar on this record.
Oh,
cool.
So this is pre-Allman Brothers. He was a session musician, and the guitar playing is great. Irma Thomas. She died.
I love the graphic.
She's from New Orleans. And soul record. There she is. Great. Aretha
cool.
Ilk. Yeah. So there you go. So I mean, and that Sweet Linda Divine was a blind buy, So I mean, blind buys for me is I really don't know anything about it. I look at the jacket, I look at some of the credits, and I go, God, there's something here. Dwayne Allman is listed in the credits, so I'll pay $5 and I'll take it home. And if it's great, I pat myself on the back, and if it's crap, I sell it immediately.
This one is a blind buy as well. I knew about a little bit of Astoria, and sometimes you have to. And if by the question, do you buy a reissue? Yeah, I do buy reissues, jazz reissue. I cannot pay like $7,000 for an OG something. So it depends very much upon if the OG affordable for my budget or not. Deutsche Grammophon, Beethoven, near mint 80s, I could get it for free in my local store. Coltrane, I would never be able to buy an OG. Case by case.
Yeah, for reissues, I'm the same way. I'll buy, like, I bought this reissue, but to buy this record, to buy a new one of these is like $1,000.
Yeah.
Who is that?
It's the Black Unity Trio. Very free jazz, but a little bit different. A little bit more melodic. There's some swing in here, and it's a really interesting record. Cool record.
Yeah. Here's a question I've never gotten a clear answer on, and that is, when you look at punk records, or you look at this record that you just showed, Shawn, they probably pressed it once and they did a pressing run, but the number of records that they pressed is not recorded anywhere.
Right.
So it's not like a fine art print where you go, the artist printed 1,000 copies and that's it. So when those early records, nobody knows. I mean, you don't know whether they pressed 500 or 1,000 or what have you. All people know is it's super rare and it's super expensive. So it's kind of like an urban legend.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
To
That's part of
establish
it.
value. Nobody's got a baseline to establish value. It just is.
Yeah.
This one is a reissue as well. I went to check out the price for an original copies on Discogs, and
much?
it starts at $700. Don't pay
And
seven
who
hundred
is that?
dollars.
I never heard of it either.
It's a blues creation with Carmen Maki. Kazuo Takeda is the guy who founded the band. He's a Japan early 70s heavy psych blues Japanese bands, and this is the albums they released in 71 with
And
Carmen
the
Maki.
value is what, $700?
Yeah, for an OJ copy, and I stumble upon that reissue, $50. I say, okay, take it back home.
I'd love to
Whatever.
search. I'd love to see if I could find that in Japan and what the prices are in the used market.
How about this reissue?
Oh wow,
Chains.
good record, Dave.
Walmart had it, so I like
Is this the most recent reissue that just came out?
Yes.
Yeah, it's from 2024. Yeah.
Yeah. How does
like-
it sound?
It sounds good to me. Yeah.
I used to have the music on vinyl, music on vinyl version of it.
Well, they originally released the jar. I sold off a bunch of. I used to have a bunch of OG 1990s albums of alternative bands, which I should have got rid of, but I did. I had the original. I had the original Jar of Flies with sap and an etched side. I used to have that one, the original Jar of Flies album.
And it's worth what now? The original?
Well, I'm sure it's worth some.
Yeah, Alice in Chains
I
is probably
looked it up. Yeah.
probably $200-300, my guess.
Now and again, why is because they only pressed so many? It was
in the 90s there when they were doing CDs, and the runs of albums were really limited.
Yeah.
And even then they were, if you look on a lot of those, they did a short run in Europe, and a lot of them didn't even get an American final release.
I've seen that on Discogs. A bunch of albums are only released in vinyl albums are only released in other countries, not.
If I would have been thinking at the time, but I mean, who was thinking about it? Vinyl DJ, here's one of the revolutionary symbols. Those are great. Those are
Okay,
really
guys, I think I'm gonna wrapping up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for stopping by. I really appreciate it. This is what I like, bringing randomly people together, having a cool chat. So hope you like it, and thanks for the people in the chat. Pretty active. John the Revelator. I see Nick earlier, Nick Pentazzi.
Yeah.
French guy, Marsha P, Steve of All the Words the Stage. Really cool to have you. Yeah, thank you very much. Hope you like it. Stay tuned for next chapter. Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Good to meet you.
Thank you. Addict.
Bye, Robbie.